A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
How often have you felt that you would like to get away from it all? Just drop everything, move far away, start a new life, maybe even with a new identity. Well, it isn't as easy as it sounds, as the story you're about to hear demonstrates. So before you buy a one-way ticket to elsewhere, listen. Listen as Dick Crenna stars in Night on Red Mountain, which begins in just a moment.
Here's Frankie Lane. I never feel like singing with a bad cold, so I take wonderful four-way cold tablets to relieve my cold misery fast.
Right. Tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved four-way fastest acting of all. Amazing four-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
So when you catch cold, take my advice. Take four-way cold tablets. It's the fast way to relieve those nasty cold miseries and feel better quickly.
Four-way, 29.59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. Had dandruff for years? Now get rid of it in 3 minutes with Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep unsightly dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Then rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch, embarrassing dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave hair up to 35% brighter. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today.
And now, Night on Red Mountain, starring Dick Crenna. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Coming right up. Oh, sorry, sir. I didn't hear you drive in. Can't hear much of anything when the wind starts blowing.
Fill her up.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you better check the oil and water, too. You got any hot coffee inside?
Yeah, hot and black.
Oh, that's for me. Must be close to zero.
No, not that bad. Down around 20. It'll drop tonight, though. Radio says we might get a blizzard.
Yeah, and they call this sunny California.
Well, we're more than 5,000 feet here. 6,500 at the top of the pass up the road piece.
Yeah, I know. I just come over it.
You heading north?
Yeah, Vegas. How far is it from here?
260 from Victorville. Victorville's 32 from here. What's the matter? You lost?
What makes you think so?
The US 66 is a direct route. Not many cars come across Red Mountain in the winter.
Say,
Yeah?
ain't I seen you someplace before?
No? Not unless you've been through here before.
Ain't never. Not back east someplace? You come from back east?
Never been. I come from up north. Wairika?
Funny. You take that mustache off and you'd be a ringer for a kid I once knew back in Jersey City. Joey Perino. Funny.
Yeah. Yeah, lookalikes. You run into them sometime.
Sure you was never back east?
Sure.
Funny. Without that mustache, I'd swear you would
be mistaken.
Yeah. Well, where do I find the coffee?
Right inside. Sally will take care of it.
You better check the battery and the tires, too.
Yeah, sure thing.
Good evening.
Give me a cup of black coffee. Huh?
Yes, sir.
The State Highway Patrol has asked us to make this announcement. Change will be required on all cars in the mountain region. Tonight's storm is expected to...
It sounds like you might be snowed in.
Won't be the first time.
That might be dangerous, considering your condition.
Oh, no. I'm not expecting till April, and we never get any snow that late.
Not even when the weather's unusual, like they say out here?
Well, it's never that unusual. You better get Walt to put on your chains.
Ain't got any.
Oh? Then watch your step going down the hill, particularly mule shoe curve. It's bad in snow like this.
Oh, I'll remember that. Is he your husband?
Who?
The fella gassing me up, this Walt.
Oh, yeah.
You two all alone up here?
No, there's my dad. And he better get a move on or he won't get back up the mountain tonight.
Where is he?
Went down to Victorville this afternoon for supplies.
You born around here?
No, up north.
Wairika?
Yeah, how did you guess?
Well, your husband said that's where he came from.
He did?
Yeah. Doesn't he?
Well, he said he did, didn't he?
Yeah. You ever hear of a guy named Joey Perino?
No. Why should I?
Your husband looks like him.
Well, what if he does?
Nothing. You ever been back east?
Never been outside the state. Gee, you ask more questions than a cop.
Don't worry, I ain't no cop.
He's all set to roll.
How much do I owe you?
12 gallons, that'll be $3.95.
Plus the coffee?
No, compliments of the management.
Eh?
It's a policy of the establishment. Free coffee during blizzards, isn't it, Sally?
Yeah, sure.
Here you are, $4.
I'll get you change.
Don't bother. $3.95 for the gas and 5 cents for the coffee. I got a policy, too. I don't take handouts.
Oh, look, Walt was...
I don't want to be owing anybody anything, sister. Particularly rats. Be seeing you, Joey.
Joey? What did he mean, Walt, calling you Joey?
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
A message now to those men and women who are living in the United States but are not citizens of this country. In this month of January, all aliens are required to report their addresses to the government each year. Cards in which to report the required information may be obtained at any post office or from an office of the Immigration and Naturalization Service. When the cards are all filled out, return them to the clerk from whom they were received. Failure to register at this time can result in serious legal penalties. If you are an alien and have not already registered for this year, make sure you go soon to your local post office or Immigration Service office for the card. If you are ill or disabled, you may arrange to have a friend or relative pick up and return your card for you. But you must register. Why not stop by at your nearest post office for your card? Then fill it out and return it without delay.
And now, starring Dick Crenna, Act 2 of Night on Red Mountain.
Yeah?
Mr. Pirelli?
Yeah.
I have a long-distance call for you from Victorville, California.
Who's calling?
Just a moment, please. Who's calling Mr. Pirelli? Mr. Battalion.
Okay, operator, put him on.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello, Big Pete?
Yeah, Bat. What are you doing down in Victorville? You were supposed to be here in Vegas by dinner time.
Yeah, I know. But I sort of got lost in the mountains.
Figures. I knowed you to get lost in Jersey City.
Yeah, but wait till you hear what I found.
A gold mine, I suppose.
Nah, Joey Perino.
You're kidding. Where?
In a gas station back in the hills.
You sure it's Joey?
Positive. He's got a mustache and he's got a wife and he calls himself Walt something or other, but it's Joey, all right.
They recognize you?
Sure he did, but he didn't let on. I thought I'd better tell you.
Wait a minute. If he recognizes you, he'll take it on the land.
Not a chance. He's up there all alone with his wife. She's in a family way and it's blowing up a blizzard. He wouldn't risk getting her out of there in this kind of weather.
Where are you?
In a joint called the White Spot.
Sit tight. I'll be there in a couple hours.
How you going to do that?
Charter a plane.
But, boss, I'll be glad to handle him for you.
I'm sure you would, Bat. But this one I want to take care of myself. In my own way, if you get what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. I'll wait for you here.
Hey, what's the name of this place where he's at?
Walt Summit Service. Why?
Thought I might give him a ring before I leave.
And tip him off?
No. Offer him another chance.
Are you kidding?
What do you think?
Walt Summit Service, good evening.
Hello, Joey.
You must have the wrong number. This is Walt Summit Service.
No, Joey, I got the right number. This is Big Pete. Remember me?
There's some mistake.
There's no mistake. Ben just told me it was by your joint a while ago.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is Walt Summit Service.
Okay, Joey, if you want it that way, it's Wall Summer Service and your Wall. But back in Jersey City, it's still Joey Perino to all the boys. And Joey, the boys miss you. All of them. But me in particular. I miss you so much, Joey, I feel I just got to talk to you.
I'm sorry. You have a wrong number.
Listen, Joey. And listen good. I'm going to talk to you.
You got the wrong number.
Okay, Joey. Now listen, Joey. You know what joint in Victorville called the White Spot?
Yeah, I know it.
Good. I'm at the airport in Vegas. I'm taking off from here in 5 minutes. You take off in 5 minutes, too, Joey.
Look here.
Don't hang up on Big Pete, Joey. Now listen to me. Take you about the same time to get down off that mountain as it'll take me to fly to Victorville. Maybe in the White Spot. That's an order.
I don't take orders from you anymore.
You'll take this one. I'll come up there and shove it down your throat.
Well, come on. Come on. A highway patrol car just pulled up outside.
Oh, you kid, Joey. You think you can scare me off with them two-bit cops?
I'm not trying to kid you, Pete.
That's my boy, Joey. You finally recognize your old boss, huh, Joey? Now, you ain't gonna squeal in them orange pickers, are you, Joey?
I'm not a squealer, Pete.
Ain't you?
No.
How do I know?
I'm telling you.
So how come you took a powder on me 2 years ago, huh? How come? How come you just moved?
I wanted out.
You in there?
Yeah, I'll be right there.
Who are you talking to?
The highway patrol, I told you.
You gonna tell them why you walked out at all, Pete?
Look, I don't tell nothing to nobody. I just want to be left alone. I want it out and I got out.
You ain't out, kid. Nobody else quits on me.
Walt, there's someone at the door.
I know it.
Who are you talking to now?
My wife.
Get rid of the cops, Joey. And tell your wife to go to bed.
You got the wrong number.
And meet me in 2 hours at the White Spot in Victorville. You got it?
Yeah, I got the number you're calling, but this isn't it.
You better be there, Joey. Or I'm coming up the hill for you.
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
If you have a cold, bronchitis, or the chickenpox, you naturally get to work at once to do something about curing the disease. If the symptoms of some physical illness appear, you try to prevent the illness from getting worse. But far too many of us look upon one of the most serious and most prevalent of illnesses, mental or emotional disturbances, as some sort of a stigma. We're afraid to admit when mental illness occurs in our family and often wait until too late to do something about it. But the rigors of modern living can bring on tensions in any of us, and these tensions can develop into very serious mental disorders if something isn't done to alleviate them. A great deal of wonderful work is being accomplished in the prevention, treatment, and cure of mental illness. If we treat it as just another form of disease, call in the right people to deal with it, support our local mental health organizations, and accept those who have been cured of mental disorders as we would anyone cured of a physical illness, we'll all be helping to combat and reduce a serious threat to the security and well-being of our nation.
And now, starring Dick Crenna, Act 3 of Night on Red Mountain.
Good evening, Mrs. Parsons. I'm sorry to disturb you, ma'am.
Oh, that's all right, Sergeant Toohey. Come in. Walt was on the phone.
Yeah, Sergeant. Some crackpot. Got a wrong number. He can't get it out of his drunken head.
Well, I just stopped by to see if you folks were all right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, snug as a bug in a rug.
Have a cup of coffee?
Yes, thanks, Mrs. Parsons. Guess maybe I dropped by for that, too.
Well, there's always some on the stove.
How's the weather outside?
It ain't fit night for man or motor car. Pass is closed. Won't be able to get plows through from the other side of the mountain until tomorrow forenoon.
Yeah, well, that's what you can expect in February.
There you are, Sergeant. Sugar, cream, and hot, I hope.
Yeah, wonderful, Mrs. Parsons. Thank you.
Oh, Sally.
Yes, darling?
Like the sergeant says, it ain't a fit night out for man or motor car.
Yes?
I thought I'd put him up for the night.
Oh, of course.
No, I don't want to inconvenience you.
Oh, but it wouldn't...
No, not at all. No inconvenience at all. We'd sure like to have you stay.
Well, that's right nice of you, believe me, but I've got to get on down the road.
But it's after 10 now. You're off duty.
In a storm like this, nobody's off duty. Well, thanks for the coffee, Mrs. Parsons. I'll say I got something to thank you for, Walt.
Oh, what's that?
The only laugh I had this evening.
Oh? Well, I'd like to hear it. What's the laugh, Sarge?
Well, that car out front.
What car?
A couple of hours ago, when I was going up to the pass, that two-tone job standing out front with a big tail fin.
What about it?
Gold and white, covered with mud and snow piling on it. Well, it sort of reminded me of a bathing beauty on a ski slope. Cars like that weren't designed for this kind of country.
No.
I guess they weren't.
Well, good night, folks. Oh, and thanks again for the coffee.
You're welcome.
Good night, Sergeant. I'll get it.
No. Oh, I will. Walt, Summit Service.
You ain't left yet, Joey? Get going.
You got the wrong number.
Again?
Yeah, again.
Darling, what is it?
Oh, screwball.
Oh, what's he want?
Who knows? He's drunk. Let's go to bed.
I'm not very sleepy. I know what. Let's sit up and wait for Dad.
No, he won't make it now.
Well, he might.
Let's go to bed, I said.
All right, honey. We'll go to bed.
We'll go then. I gotta lock up.
All right. Walt.
What?
What's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing's the matter. I gotta lock up, that's all. Now get to bed and stop asking a lot of stupid questions.
That will be 20 cents for 3 minutes.
Yeah, sister.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Pete.
Well, how'd you guess it'd be me, Joey?
Oh, look, let's cut the kidding.
I ain't kidding, Joey. I'm disappointed, real disappointed. I fly all the way down here to Victorville just to talk to you, and what happens? You ain't got the courtesy to come down the hill and see your pal. How come you ain't here, Joey?
I'm not coming, Pete.
You ain't, huh?
No.
Well, then I guess I'll have to come up there.
Nobody's asking you.
Joey, that ain't no way to talk.
Lay off, will you, Pete? I done nothing to you.
You walked out on me, Joey. Nobody walks out on Big Pete. See you in an hour. And, Joey.
Yeah?
Don't try taking the powder. Fella at the bar just told me the pass is closed. The only way out is down the hill.
I know it.
You want to change your mind and come on down, Joey? Joey. Joey!
Were you flashing, sir?
Yeah, I was cut off.
Just a moment. I'll try to connect you. I'm sorry, sir. There seems to be trouble on that line. Probably the storm.
Okay, sister, thanks.
Is he coming?
No, but it couldn't be better. The line just went out in the storm.
And the pass is blocked. Oh, what a sweet setup.
Yeah, ain't it? Let's go.
A pleasure.
In a moment, we continue with the fourth act of Suspense.
A word of advice to those of you who suffer from acid indigestion, heartburn, or gas.
Little you know about the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummy, T-U-M-S. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
The modern Tums formula has never been surpassed for effectiveness. Always carry Tums, 10 cents, 3-roll pack a quarter. Or get the new 6-roll Tums pack with free metal carrier, only 49 cents.
And now, starring Dick Crenna, Act 4 of Night on Red Mountain.
That you, honey?
Yeah.
Oh, come to bed, darling.
I can't.
Where are you going? What are you putting on your coat for?
I gotta go down the hill.
Oh, Walt, what's the matter?
I'm worried about your dad. I'm gonna go look for him.
Oh, now you know he's probably staying in town at the Rances. If you're worried, telephone them.
I tried. The line's out. I gotta go down the hill.
But, Walt, you can't leave me here alone.
I got it, honey. I got it.
Walt, I'm afraid.
There's nothing to be scared of. You'll be safe here.
Your gun. Why are you taking your gun?
I feel better with a gun.
Walt, you're keeping something from me. You gotta tell me.
There's nothing to tell. Get back in bed, honey, please.
If you promise not to go out.
I can't. I gotta go, and I gotta go alone.
And it isn't Dad. It's something else.
Look, don't make me try.
Hey! How come the place is all lit up like a Christmas tree? Can't be that much business tonight.
Oh, Dad, thank goodness you're here. That silly husband of mine was just going out to look for you. He was afraid you skidded into the canyon or something.
An old mountain man like me, fiddlesticks. I'm glad you're dressed, though, Walt. I promised Sergeant Toohey I'd send you down the road with a tow truck to give him a hand.
Accident?
Yep. Some darn fool was driving without chains. Went through the guardrail at Mule Shoe Curve. One of these fancy new two-tone jobs with airplane fins.
Gold and white. Hardtop convertible?
Toohey didn't specify, but he recognized the driver. A big shot gangster from back east, he said. Name of Big Pete Pirelli. That was it. I didn't know the other fellow.
Were they hurt?
Hurt? They're both as dead as last week's hamburgers.
Okay, I'll get going. I guess I won't need this gun after all. I'll be back in a little while, Sally.
All right, honey.
See that she gets to bed, will you, Dad?
Sure, son.
She hasn't had much sleep tonight.
Don't worry, darling. I'll sleep now.
Good. You know something?
What?
I love you very, very much.
Suspense, in which Dick Crenna starred in Night on Red Mountain, written, produced, and directed by William N. Robeson. In just a moment, the names of the supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Tennis, anyone? Seriously, if all by yourself you've been tracing the week's news developments on a globe, you may be feeling like a referee at a tennis match. Things have been happening that fast. On the other hand, if you've been following events with Lowell Thomas and Edward R. Murrow of CBS News, there's no question but that you're taking each new development in stride. Lowell Thomas and Edward R. Murrow are experienced hands at sorting out the important details of a story. Every weekday evening on CBS Radio, they tell you what's happening simply and directly. Hear them regularly on most of these same stations. You'll appreciate their clarity and the way they let the facts tell the story. You'll appreciate, too, the background information their years of experience and travel provide. Information only Lowell Thomas and Edward R. Murrow can offer. Information that adds interest and excitement and brings news stories into proper focus. Be sure to hear Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas each weekday evening on most of these same stations.
Supporting Dick Crenna in Night on Red Mountain were Celeste Bullis, Dora Singleton, Joe DeSantis, Peter Leeds, Sam Pierce, and Norm Alden. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense wishes to salute station KRMG Tulsa, Oklahoma, which became CBS Radio's newest affiliate on Monday, January 5th. KRMG covers 93 counties and reaches about 1 million families in the Southwest and operates on 50,000 watts daytime and 25,000 watts nighttime. Suspense comes to you each Sunday on CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
The word license has two meanings. The first is familiar to all of us. Official permission, as in marriage license, liquor license, driving license. The second definition, paradoxically, means almost the opposite. Freedom from rules. We concern ourselves here with an esoteric aspect of this definition, namely dramatic license. In the forthcoming story, we have deviated somewhat from the facts and altered California topography ever so slightly in the interest of suspense. To the residents of San Bernardino, who may grumble, it couldn't happen that way, all we can say is, aren't you glad? Listen then as Mr. William Bishop stars in Ride Down Cajon, which begins in just a moment.
welcome William Bendix.
Nobody can act up to par with a nasty cold. I check my cold distress the fast way, with 4-way cold tablets.
Yes, tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved 4-way fastest acting of all. Amazing 4-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
4-way is the fast way to relieve those cold miseries. Then you feel better quickly.
4-way cold tablets, only 29.59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. Had dandruff for years? Now get rid of it in 3 minutes with Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep unsightly dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Then rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch. Embarrassing dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave hair up to 35% brighter. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today.
And now, Ride Down Cajon, starring Mr. William Bishop. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
There are 2 main gateways to California. Route 40 over Donna Pass in the north and Route 66 over Cajon Pass in the south. I don't know anything about Donna, but Cajon Pass, I know. You see, I'm night man at Ella's Tip Top Cafe at the summit of the pass. And I live down the hill in Batu. That's San Bernardino. Down the hill. You drop 3,000 feet and 20 miles on a 4-lane divided highway that's so well designed drivers hit it like it was the Indianapolis Speedway. Which is okay, if your wheels are working okay. If they're not, you can get killed on Cajon. Fast. By all rights, I should have been the other night. And I just went along for the ride. It was around about 2 a.m. and I was waiting for my relief man when Phil dropped in for a cup of coffee. Phil rides the pass for the highway patrol. He also is my brother-in-law-to-be, seeing he's married to my girlfriend's sister.
Don't forget, Andy, we're supposed to take the girls to the beach tomorrow afternoon.
Don't worry, Joni's reminding me at least twice a day all week long.
What time you want to get started?
I'll be over as soon as I can get my car out of the garage. They promised it before noon.
Oh, that's right. I forgot your car's tied up. How are you getting down the hill tonight?
What do you care? You wouldn't give me a lift.
You know I can't. Regulations.
Now, you might break a regulation or two. You're practically my brother-in-law.
Andy, my boy, the only way you can ride that patrol car is to break the California Vehicle Code. Then I'll be glad to give you a lift. To jail.
Thanks a lot. I'll hitch a ride. Much action on the pass tonight?
No, it's been pretty quiet. A couple of drunks, 2 or 3 speeders. No blood.
That's good.
That's the way I like it.
Hiya, Phil.
Oh, hi, Dave.
How you doing, Andy?
Okay, Dave. Hey, where'd you blow in from?
Yeah, Colorado. And I could eat a horse.
Fresh out. How about a cow, medium well?
I'll buy it. And a side of fried eggs. And a gallon of coffee.
Coming right up.
Andy's car's in the shop, Dave. He's looking for a ride down the hill tonight. Can you fix him up?
Well, sure, why not? Here's a starter on that gallon of coffee.
No.
Dave will give you a ride down the hill, Andy.
Crazy.
Providing you're ready by the time I finish eating.
Well, sure, I'm off in 20 minutes.
Hey, Dave.
What?
Whatever you're carrying in that rig, it's leaking.
Yeah, I know. Ice water.
Ice water? You carrying a load of ice?
No. Chickens.
Chickens? All the way from Colorado?
Sure. Where do you think the Los Angeles housewife gets her fresh-killed spring chickens? Colorado, Louisiana, Mississippi?
No kidding.
Sure. 10, 11 days from the axe to the dinner table.
Aren't they a little spoiled by that time?
No, they're okay to eat. They may have lost a vitamin or two on the way.
Well, it's time to head down the pass. I got to check in at the weighing station. Don't be too late tomorrow, Andy.
Don't worry. I'll be there around noon.
Take it easy, Phil. Yep. Never take it.
By the time Dave had eaten his steak and eggs, my relief man had checked in, and I was through for the night. We walked out into the chill desert air. Route 66 stretched endlessly toward the east, marked only by the yellow pinprick of an approaching car. The melting ice water dripped steadily from Dave's loaded trailer. He walked slowly around the rig, as he always did before he started her up, checking the connections with the tractor, the running lights, taking in every detail, seeing things only an expert can see. He was so serious about it, I nearly laughed. Think she'll make it?
If everything holds together.
Doesn't it always?
It always has. So far.
Dave swung into the cab and fired up the big diesel. I clambered in after him, and he nosed his big 10 tons of refrigerated chickens out onto the westbound lane to Highway 66. He ran her through the gears, and when we got up to speed, it finally was quiet enough to talk without yelling at each other.
When are you and Joni going to do it?
Sooner the better. She wants to be a June bride.
So it'll be June.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where are you going on your honeymoon?
Joni's talking about Frisco, so I guess that's where it'll be.
Boy, she's got you roped and hog-tied already.
Joni and me, we talk everything over first and come to an agreement so there won't be any arguments.
So long as it's the way Joni wants it?
Maybe it looks that way to you, but it isn't that way.
I know. Margie and me had the same kind of talk. But that's as far as it ever got. Talk.
It's different with Joni and me.
For sure it is. If every guy didn't think it was different, there wouldn't be no more marriages. Tell me something, Andy. Honest.
What?
If you could pull out, if you could keep right on going tonight, on into L.A. and down to San Pedro, and get on a slow boat to China and never come back, wouldn't you?
Of course not. Joni and I are in love.
That's not what I'm talking about. But on the level, Andy, aren't you a little scared?
Huh? Yeah, I guess so, a little. I didn't like Dave talking that way. I knew he was only kidding me, but it was like he was reading my mind. How did he know that was exactly how I felt? Scared of getting married and guilty because I felt that way. Our lights picked up a sign on the right. Summit Cajon Pass, elevation 4,301 feet. This is the spot where the truck jockeys downshift so they can ride down the pass on compression and take the load off their brakes. Dave threw out his clutch, shifted to neutral, tramped on the brake pedal, and it went right down to the floorboard. He tried it again, and again. Nothing.
No brakes.
What are you going to do?
Try to get her to gear. No go. I can't get the gears to mesh. Let that heart pull over your head and keep her going.
Okay. It don't work, Dave.
Oh, I forgot it's an air horn. We got air brakes. We got no air pressure for the brakes. We got none for the horn.
What do we do now?
Hang on to ride. We're loaded good and heavy. That'll make us roll faster. Maybe it'll keep us from tipping over.
What's this handle? The spotlight?
Yeah, on the roof. Turn it on.
Want me to work it?
Won't hurt any. Play it back and forth. Maybe you'll get the road clear for us.
We were picking up speed all the time since we nosed over the top of the pass. We went into that first big wide curve below the summit like a Maserati at Sebring. Tight on the left, then drifting across both lanes to the outside fence and back to the right. Coming out at better than 70 miles an hour. Fangio couldn't have done better than Dave did on that one. But what about the next one? And the ones after that? Tighter turns, not so well banked. And the traffic. There was bound to be traffic. After we got out of that curve, I could see the car way down the road. I kept it in the beam of my spotlight, flicking it back and forth. And in no time, we were up on it. Dave pulled one hand off the wheel for the electric horn button. But he didn't hold it long because he needed both hands to keep the truck on the road. The guy in the car must have got that message because he pulled way over on the shoulder. We made it past it just before we went into the next curve. Came out of that one at 75. But a slight dip and an incline slowed us down a little. Then we came over the top. My heart stopped. A half mile down the road with two cars, one in each lane. Neither one was giving way to the other.
Put your line on the left one. Don't leave that lane to make it.
I kept my light in his back window, but he didn't move. Dave hit the horn. Still the moving roadblock didn't break. We were getting closer. Why wouldn't they move? Why wouldn't they move?
Get over! Get over!
I can read the license plates clearly now, too clearly. Colorado, Colorado, New Mexico, land of enchantment. Why didn't they move? The distance was closing. 20 yards, 15, 10. Why don't they move? 5 yards now. Get over! Get over!
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Before the 1920s, big city comics could bring down the house with jokes about country bumpkins. In rural areas, the city slicker was the target of the joke. But that was all before the days of network radio. Since then, the gaps in understanding between city and country dweller have been filled in by networks like the CBS radio network. Now, when important news events take place as far away as Tokyo, farmers learn the facts as quickly as their cousins in the cities. The musical genius discovered in a European concert hall soon is heard in the smallest town in America. A busy housewife learns the latest fashion note from Paris. The man driving tomorrow's milk to market keeps up with the latest details on intercontinental ballistics. The square dance is popular in the most sophisticated city circles. The rancher knows what's happening on the New York Stock Exchange, while the grocer in town knows about problems on the farm. Thus, a radio network like our CBS radio network brings together those whom geography used to keep apart.
And now, starring Mr. William Bishop, Act 2 of Ride Down Cajon.
More than 4 feet from him when colorful Colorado got the idea. With a gust of black smoke from his tailpipe, he pulled ahead of New Mexico, land of enchantment, and we barreled by with nothing to spare. It's like a bad dream, like one of those dreams of falling, or flying an aeroplane between skyscrapers, or riding down Cajon Pass in a runaway truck. I knew that next curve. Just last week, I stopped there to see what was left of the truck that had gone through the guardrail. The truck half the size of ours. There was nothing to do. Nothing. Hold your breath, shut your eyes, and pray if you remember how. You can breathe again. You can open your eyes. You're not in a flaming heap in the bottom of the canyon. You're still alive. You're still hurtling down the pass at a mile a minute with no brakes.
Andy?
Yeah?
Didn't Bill say he was going to check in at the weighing station?
Yeah, I think he did.
Think he'll still be there?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm going over to the right lane. Weighing station just over the next ride. If he's still there, maybe he can help us.
How?
How do I know?
There he is. He's just getting in his car.
Get on that spotlight, flash it in his eyes. You only got one chance. Yell at him, wave at him when we pass.
Hey, Bill! Bill! Hey, Bill!
Did he see us?
Yeah, he must have thought we were clowning. He just waved back.
Don't sound like it.
No. His red lights are on. He's coming after us. At the speed we were going, it seemed to take forever for Phil to catch up to us. Dave slowly, carefully edged the swaying rig over in the left lane so Phil could pass on my side of the cab. We were barreling down a straight stretch of the pass now, where the eastbound lane was only separated by a divider. The big trucks climbing the grade kept flashing their lights, signaling to us to dim ours. But Dave couldn't fool with a dimmer switch and handle the wheel, too. So he had to take the angry glares full in his eyes. Finally, Phil drew up alongside us.
What's the matter with you guys?
Lost our air, no brakes.
Can't he get her into gear?
Tried to. She's rolling too fast.
Okay. I'll clear the lane for you.
Phil floored the gas pedal and pulled out in front. Sirens screaming, red lights flashing, and I breathed once more. Riding parallel like that at 60 plus, with that trailer slewing behind us, anything could have happened.
Well, that's something.
What?
We're still out there. We don't have any traffic problems.
And we don't have any brakes either.
What else is new?
With Phil out front, I didn't have to work the spotlight anymore. I set it straight ahead so Dave wouldn't be in any danger of overdriving his headlights. I could see into Phil's patrol car. He was talking into his radio mic. He's calling in, Dave.
Don't know what good that'll do.
Well, maybe somebody will figure out how to stop this thing.
Too late for that.
What do you mean?
Ought to have escape ramps on this road like they have on the race route.
Where'd they put them? You got the eastbound lane on one side, the canyon on the other.
Yeah.
I looked out and down into the canyon. Dark, black. Then far down I saw the twin lights of a double-headed diesel crawling up the pass with a load of freight. The road ahead seemed straight and level. But that train reminded me what a grade it really was. 2 engines pulling, and at the tail another pushing. Crawling up the pass at 10 miles an hour while we shot down at a mile a minute. After the right would turn off, we had another long curve. Almost a 90-degree turn. Long and tragic. But at this speed it'll be tough. My tires always screeched when I came through it, and I had brakes. There was nothing for me to do. Now that the spotlight was set dead center. So I just sat there while Dave did all the work. Sweat dripping on his forehead as we went into the curve. His arms straining at the wheel, turning it a little, then easing off, turning it again, coaxing that crazy rig through with every part of it. Came out of that, almost at right angles to the road. The trailer in the right lane, the tractor in the left. When we came out of it, but best of all, there was a little grade ahead of us that slowed us down. And then beyond, the road was straight for a long, long time. Past the firehouse, and the Ligo Creek cutoff. and then it's still downhill, but much more gradual. And then you're out of the canyon, and the desert stretches flat on both sides of the road. Hey, Dave, how about pulling up on the shoulder now?
Too soft. We think for sure.
I thought of the road ahead, all downhill. We'd lose speed, all right, but would we lose it quick enough to do us any good? There comes a time when you just can't keep going straight. The road ends.
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
Noodle, you know about the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll, just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummy, T-U-M-S, bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
Tums are fast, effective, and safe. Tums relieve the discomfort of acid indigestion quickly with no danger of acid rebound, sometimes caused by harsh alkalizers. Always carry Tums, 10 cents. 3-roll pack a quarter. New Tums 6-roll pack with free metal carrier, 49 cents.
And now, starring Mr. William Bishop, Act 3 of Ride Down Cajon.
Our speed was down to 53 as we topped the last rise. Far ahead, way past the fire station, I saw a red light flash on and begin to move.
Another patrol car. Bill's got reinforcements, but I don't know what good they'll do.
We rolled on and on, all the time going faster. Our 53 was back to 60, 65. And as we hit the bottom of the pass and on into the Dew, we were doing better than 70. Also, as we hit the Dew, we were joined by a fourth in our parade. But this member wasn't as encouraging as the rest. He followed us with his siren blaring. It was an ambulance. Have you ever driven through a fairly large town at 70 miles an hour? Quite an experience. Up ahead, I saw the first police car ride over a dip and bob up and down like a teeter-totter.
There's something I hadn't thought of. Hold on to your head, Andy. This dip may send you through the roof.
The dip was bad, but it slowed us a little. And so did the next one. And the next. As we approached the bridge over the railroad yard, they got worse. The creaking of the company between the cab and trailer screamed more each time. The dip on the bridge did it. It was a sudden surge. Just 10 feet ahead, there was a jerk, a horrible noise.
The trailer came loose!
It's going over the railing onto the tracks.
Well, at least now we don't have to worry about that load landing on top of us.
Up ahead, Phil had seen what had happened. We were both in the left lane, and then Phil moved to the right, stuck his arm out the window, waved us on.
Wonder what he wants.
Looks like he wants us to come alongside.
Yeah.
Phil slowed down, and when we got alongside him, I leaned out the window.
Got an idea. I'll pull ahead of you. You weave into me. If we can connect at the same speed, I might be able to stop you with my brake.
You hear him, Dave?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Might work. We got to do something pretty quick. This road ends, and we can only make a turn at this speed. We'd roll for sure. Okay, Phil, let's try it.
Phil got out ahead of us by about 5 yards and stayed there for half a block. Then he slowed down.
He's going too slow.
Still too slow. We pushed him away. And look at his rear end.
Here we go again. You almost got it. Just a little faster this time, Phil, and we won't push you away.
Here he comes again.
We did it. I think it may work, Andy. I think it may work.
Once more, we smashed into the rear of the patrol car. And each time we slowed a little more. And the third time we connected and stayed connected. Phil's brakes held us and brought us to a slowing stop. Less than half a block from where the street ends. We crawled down from the cab. Phil got out of the patrol car, and we just stood there, shaking, looking at the smashed-up rear of the patrol car and the smoking brake drums. And then I started laughing.
I couldn't help it. It struck me as funny.
What's so funny?
I just thought of something.
Well, let us in on it. We could all use a laugh.
Do you know why my car's in the shop?
I'll bite. Why?
To have the brakes relined.
Suspense, in which William Bishop starred in William N. Robeson's production of Ride Down Cajon, written by John Mahler and adapted for suspense by Mr. Robeson and Mr. Mahler. In just a moment, the names of the supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Two of the world's most renowned names in news reporting, Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas, are both heard each weekday on CBS Radio. This is no accident, but the result of a consistent policy of bringing you highest experience and authority in news gathering and news reporting. Monday through Friday, listen to the man whose voice never wavered in the London Blitz, whose word in war and peace has always been accepted as the word, Edward R. Murrow. Mr. Murrow's is a very special authority born of year on year of keen intelligence presenting all sides of the news. Each weekday evening, too, most of these same stations bring you Lowell Thomas and the news. A session with Mr. Thomas is like a visit to exotic, far-off places. This is because Lowell Thomas has seen what he describes, and because of his special knack for dramatizing the human elements of news from far and near. CBS Radio is privileged to enjoy the services of both of these veteran newsmen, but it is no accident that both Lowell Thomas and Edward R. Murrow report on CBS Radio.
Supporting William Bishop in Ride Down Cajon were Bill Quinn and Joe DeSantis, with sound patterns by Bill James and Tom Hanley. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Elliott Reed in Four of a Kind. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
For an analysis of the news, which follows immediately on the CBS Radio Network.
3 Minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep embarrassing dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 Minutes with Fitch, unsightly dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave your hair up to 35% brighter. Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. And now, Four of a Kind, starring Elliott Reed. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Want to ride, young fella?
You bet.
Well, hop in.
Oh, thanks.
That's how I met J. Stuart Belden and his 1959 Fishtail Special. That's how I took the ride I nearly didn't get back from. He looked to be about 45. He wasn't bad looking for a guy that old. He was well built, about my size, no gray in his hair. And that coat he was wearing, boy, I'll bet plenty of camels went under the clippers for that one.
What's your name, son?
Rich Bauer.
Married?
Not me.
Don't tell me you're a woman hater.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's just, I have enough trouble feeding myself.
I said the same thing years ago. You changed your mind with 9B1863.
What?
A dud.
Huh?
Oh, you ever play license plate poker?
License plate poker? I never heard of it.
It's just like regular poker, except instead of drawing cards, you draw license plates. I drew that hand. There's nothing in it. The next car we see will be your hand. Hey, here comes one now. Watch the license plate. 14, 2 pair, 3s and 4s. You beat me.
Hey, that's a good game. What are the stakes?
Oh, make it easy on yourself. Shall we say $100,000 a hand?
Oh, sure. A good show. A lot of laughs and small talk, and all the time that big convertible eating the miles up. What a car. And when we got hungry, he stopped not at a drive-in, but at a real fancy restaurant where he picked up the check. Oh, boy, what a meal.
The trouble is, they give you too much food in there. I gotta quit eating like that. My clothes are getting tight, especially this coat.
Hey, that coat sure is a beauty.
Yeah, but I'm getting to be too much for it.
Oh.
Say, I've got an idea. Why don't you try it on?
Oh, no, Mr. Belden, I didn't mean...
Go ahead. You're just enough thinner than I am, though, to fit you fine.
Well, gosh,
Go on. Try it on.
Well, all right. Well, does seem to fit okay.
Why, it looks like it was made for you.
Feels like it, too.
Son, you just got yourself a coat.
There weren't many cars on the road now, and Belden didn't seem interested in license plate poker anymore. So I just sat there, wrapped up in my new coat, and thinking what a lucky guy I was. We were whipping along a road full of treacherous curves when I turned to thank him again, and the words stuck in my throat. He changed. He was no longer the smiling host. Instead, he was fastened to the wheel like a hawk. That's what he looked like. A hawk, ready to strike. Then suddenly he threw open his door, twisted the wheel, and jumped clear. When the car hurtled into space, I was alone in it.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Some people go through life thinking they know it all. That's hardly the case with Edward R. Murrow or Lowell Thomas of CBS News. These experts know that history is a never-ending process of change. That's why they never stop traveling around the world. That's why they never lose an opportunity to become better acquainted with the people of the world and their leaders. Unflagging interest in current events enables Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas to approach each new development in the news as an adventure. Share that adventure with them 5 nights a week on CBS Radio. You'll soon discover that Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas are newsmen who stick to the facts of the story. They tell you what's happening in the world clearly, simply, and without wasting your time on hasty judgment or guesswork. Every Monday through Friday nights on CBS Radio, catch up with history as most of these same stations bring you Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas.
And now, starring Elliott Reed, Act 2 of Four of a Kind.
Came to hurting bad. The wind knocked out of me. But at least I hadn't gone to the bottom of the gully with the car. After a minute, I started to climb back toward the road. I was only a few feet from the top of the bank when I looked up, and there was Belden, a gun in his hand. I ducked behind a rock, and the bullets whirred off into the gully. He wanted me dead, that was for sure. But why? Why? I waited a minute longer, and then I heard the horn. I came out from behind the rocks and crawled up to the road in time to see Belden make his getaway in that car. I couldn't tell what kind of a car it was, but I did get the license. 4L5555. He'd beat my straight. Back hurt, my head throbbed, I ached all over. Any traffic on this back road, so I walked all the way to the next town. It was dark by the time I got there. Found the police station and something else.
Well, there he is.
Belden.
That's him, officer. That's the boy who stole my car, forced me out, and took my coat. Just look in the side pocket of that coat. You'll find my wallet.
What?
Well, young man, what do you got to say for yourself?
You don't understand. You see, he gave me the coat. I didn't know about the wallet.
Mm-hmm. That's the best you can do.
But I tell you, he picked me up when I was hitchhiking. He tried to kill me. He headed his car off the road and jumped out. And when that didn't work, he shot at me.
Sergeant, let the boy go.
Mr. Belden.
I've changed my mind. I don't intend to press charges.
No. Lock me up. please don't believe him. He wants to kill me.
It's up to you, Mr. Belden, if you don't think he'll cause you any more trouble. I'm positive that after tonight, this young man will be no trouble for anyone.
No trouble for him. After tonight, I had to get away from there. I had to run.
Hey, come on back here. Come back.
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
If you have a cold, bronchitis, or the chickenpox, you naturally get to work at once to do something about curing the disease. If the symptoms of some physical illness appear, you try to prevent the illness from getting worse. But far too many of us look upon one of the most serious and most prevalent of illnesses, mental or emotional disturbances, as some sort of a stigma. We're afraid to admit when mental illness occurs in our family and often wait until too late to do something about it. But the rigors of modern living can bring on tensions in any of us, and these tensions can develop into very serious mental disorders if something isn't done to alleviate them. A great deal of wonderful work is being accomplished in the prevention, treatment, and cure of mental illness. If we treat it as just another form of disease, call in the right people to deal with it, support our local mental organizations, and accept those who have been cured of mental disorders, as we would anyone cured of a physical illness, we'll all be helping to combat and reduce a serious threat to the security and well-being of our nation.
And now, starring Elliott Reed, Act 3 of Four of a Kind.
I don't know how long I ran, and I didn't know where I was, except that the town was behind me. And then I saw a bright, glaring neon sign. Max and Al's, Wayside Rest, trucks welcome. Just a dinky service station and a lunch wagon, but it was sanctuary to me.
Howdy. Hey, what's the matter, bud?
Nothing.
You sure look messed up. You been in an accident?
Look, mister, I've got to get a ride south. Do you mind if I hang around and wait until a truck comes through?
No, I don't mind. Won't do any good, though. Ain't allowed to pick up riders. Company rules. Might be lucky and catch a wildcatter, but I doubt it.
Thanks.
Say, you sure you're all right? Maybe you better go in and get yourself a cup of coffee. Sure looks like you could use one.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
If a ride turns up, I'll call you.
Thanks, Mac.
Oh, I'm not Mac. I'm Al. Mac works days.
I felt halfway decent when I came out of the lunch wagon. I had cleaned myself up and reduced my capital to 15 cents. Al had a customer.
Yes. Well, that'll be $4.80. Oh, hey, bud, come here.
Huh?
I got your ride south.
You have? Who with?
Little lady here. She's been driving all day, got an awful headache. She's going straight through. Here's the fellow I was telling you about, ma'am, the one that's going south.
Oh, well, I'm afraid you misunderstood. I just said I wished I had somebody to drive me.
Oh, well, I don't blame you for not wanting to take a rider, ma'am, but I'd appreciate it if you'd change your mind. I'm in an awful big hurry.
Well, I am tired.
Oh, go ahead, miss. He's a nice fella.
If you'll vouch for him.
Oh, now, wait a minute, lady. I don't vouch for nobody.
Oh, I guess it'll be all right.
It was a pleasure to drive for her. She didn't say much, and I didn't feel like talking. She just sat beside me, her eyes closed, resting. Once in a while, I snatched a quick look at her. Long, dark eyelashes resting on her marble-like cheeks. Maybe this terrifying day would end up all right. Feel better?
Much better. I'm ashamed of myself hesitating to let you drive my car. Afraid I'm overcautious.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Can't be too careful.
One reads of such awful things happening on the road.
Awful things. I hadn't thought of Belden since we left Al's gas station. Now he was back in the front of my mind. And unconsciously, I tramped on the gas pedal.
You're going awfully fast. These curves are treacherous.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want to kill us both? You almost sideswiped him.
I'm sorry.
What are you honking now for? He's gone.
Your horn.
What about it?
Oh, nothing. I thought I'd heard it before.
Before? Now, look, maybe I'd better drive.
No, I mean, I'll be all right. I'm sorry.
Pull over and stop.
Huh?
Pull over. I'm going to drive.
She drove about a mile, I guess. Neither one of us said anything. And then, without any warning, she took an abrupt turn off the highway and down a rutted dirt road. Hey, what's the idea?
We better stop a while. You don't look so well.
Oh, I'm all right now.
You don't look it. Better have a drink. Reach in the glove compartment and find some scotch.
No, really, I'm all right.
Maybe I need a drink.
Maybe it was a girl. Maybe it was just relief. But I felt calm for the first time that night. I watched her as the glow from her cigarette lit her high cheekbones. I couldn't see her eyes until she turned her head.
What's your name?
Ridge.
Mine's Virginia.
Hi.
Hi.
You must think I'm pretty much of a jerk the way I've been acting.
It's all right. Things like that happen to everybody.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, look, I'm all right now. I could drive.
What's your hurry?
Well, I thought...
What's the matter? Don't you like to sit here with me?
No, it's just... Well, I thought you were in a hurry.
I'm not now. Are you?
No. I'm in no hurry at all. She didn't seem to be moving. It was so gradual. I caught a trace of warm perfume in her hair. She smiled at me, one of those elusive smiles. Half innocent, half... Her head touched my shoulder. I accepted the invitation.
Oh, I like you, Rich. I like you a lot.
Yeah. You know, tonight back in the filling station when I first saw you, Oh, no.
What's the matter, Ridge?
That miniature license tag on your keyring.
Yeah?
4L5555.
Four of a kind.
Four of it. You play license plate poker?
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
4 5s. The license of the car that picked Belden up after he tried to kill me.
That's right, Ridge.
Then you were in it with him.
That's right, Sonny. Oh. In a moment, we continue with the fourth act of Suspense.
When acid indigestion slows you down, get relief quickly, safely, effectively. Settle the upset fast with the modern antacid that goes everywhere with you.
Little you know about the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummy, T-U-M-S. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
No acid rebound with modern Tums. Get Tums 10 cents. 3-roll pack a quarter. Or the new Tums 6-roll pack with 3 metal carrier, 49 cents.
And now, starring Elliot Reed, Act 4 of 4 of a Kind.
here. I couldn't move.
Well, you took your time getting here.
I couldn't help it.
You were supposed to be here waiting. What if I hadn't been able to keep him?
Oh, I knew I could depend on you, darling, to detain you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Did you have to go as far as you did? Did you have to let him kiss you?
Do you know a better way to keep a man on ice?
The perfect wife, a little helpmate.
Oh, shut up. Put him in the back seat and let's get out of here. No one's discovered the car yet.
Of course not. The way it's lying, nobody will see it until daylight. And then J. Stuart Belden will be found dead, burned to an unrecognizable crisp. And we can shake this place. Go to South America.
You can go. I have to stick around, remember? Collect the insurance. Pretend I'm heartbroken, you're dead.
Is that going to be so hard?
Don't be silly.
Come on, hurry. I've got to work fast. Give me a hand with it.
No, wait, here comes the car. Do you have your wallet?
I'll put it in his pocket as soon as I can get him out of the car. All clear?
Yes.
I tried to move my arms just a little. Then my legs. They hurt, but they've been asleep for a long time. I'd only had one chance. One chance. If my muscles coordinated, I'd wait until he dragged me out of the car, and then I'd do the best I could.
Virginia, get the gasoline can out.
I felt him grab me under the arms. I opened my eyes just in time to see a murderous wrench in the girl's hand. As she brought it down, I closed my eyes. Something hit me hard. But it wasn't the wrench. It was Belden. The wrench had folded him up, and he collapsed on top of me. She didn't know I was watching her. She was too busy dragging Belden over to the rim of the cliff.
Well, Stuart, that's how you planned it. Accidental death.
And then she pushed him. He disappeared over the edge. I didn't wait to see any more. I crawled out of that car and I started to run right down the middle of the road. Then she saw me.
Wait, stop, wait! Ren!
But I kept on going. I heard the car starting. She was coming right at me. First, I thought she was just trying to catch up to me. Then I realized she was trying to run me down. She was trying to kill me. It was just a question of seconds. And suddenly, around the bend, a big truck. I was sandwiched between them. I stood, stunned with horror, her scream ringing through my head. And the picture of her in the car, swerving off into space, into the canyon below.
Hey, bud, you all right?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
She went off the road.
Crazy woman driver. Hey, what you staring at?
Your license plate. CM1111.
Oh, now, look, it wasn't my fault. You saw how it happened.
4 aces. 4 aces. I'd won. I had taken the last hand. But I've sworn off poker. License plate poker, that is. The stakes can be too high.
Suspense, in which Elliot Reed starred in William N. Robeson's production of Four of a Kind, written by John Bagney and Gwen Bagney Gielgud. In just a moment, the names of the supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Do you eat crackers in bed? Do you flick ashes from your cigarette right onto the carpet? Do you stamp out your cigar butts on your neighbor's front lawn? If you do, we've got news for you. Wherever you are, wherever you're going, your persona non grata, which in any language means just plain not welcome. The best thing to do is to find an ivory tower or start reversing your mode of living, because it's people like you who do exactly the same thing outdoors as well as indoors. When you take a walk through the park, chances are you leave behind a trail of candy wrappers and old papers. Just remember, nobody wants to follow a fellow like you. So stop making tracks and start using the receptacles. Just one more thing.
We sincerely hope that nobody who's listening to us now is the fellow we're talking about. But if he happens to be someone you know, CBS Radio urges you to tell him what we said, because the whole idea is to keep America beautiful. Supporting Elliott Reed in Four of a Kind were Joan Tompkins, Alan Reed, Jack Crucian, and Barney Phillips. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Faithful listeners, and who among you is not, will remember a strange and wonderful story we presented some time ago about a member of the Beat Generation called the Tennis Shoe. It was the first radio play by a young man of whom we have expected much, and we have not been disappointed. Herewith, another strange and wonderful story by 26-year-old George Bamber. In years to come, we feel confident that we will be proud to recall that it was on Suspense that this brilliant writer was first heard. Listen then as Richard Beals stars in Return to Dust, which begins in just a moment.
Another visit with Joe and Daphne Forsythe.
Okay, Daphne. The slides are all set. Turn off the lights.
There. Oh, Joe, isn't that pretty? Where was that?
That was Vale Pass on the Grand Divide. Remember how hard the wind blew?
I certainly do, and it was cold, too. Next time we go on a vacation, let's get an earlier start.
Well, we saved money by waiting till fall. Remember this one?
Oh, sure. That's Zion National Park. Oh, it was lovely.
We sure had a lot of fun on that trip. It was worth the money.
It was a good investment, all right. Almost as good as savings bonds.
There you go again.
Well, I just can't get over how good a bargain they are. We women like bargains, you know.
Oh, I know that. And $4 back for every 3 invested is a pretty good bargain.
Right. Oh, was that where I fed the bear?
Yeah, that's Yosemite. We were lucky the bears weren't already in hibernation.
How do they live when they hibernate?
On fat they store up during the warm months.
Just like savings bonds.
Huh?
Well, you buy a saving bond a month, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great way to save, the way those bonds rack up interest, right?
Right.
So we're just like the bears. We're storing up fat for our future use at interest rates that give us $4 at maturity for every 3 invested.
A very interesting idea.
You can learn a lot from nature.
Yeah, just imagine. Smokey the Bear selling savings bonds.
Oh, Joe, show the slides.
And now, Return to Dust, starring Mr. Richard Beals. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Attention, Dr. Warren Bader, Department of Pathology, School of Medicine, State University. This is James Howard, Research Fellow in Pathology, speaking. At the moment, I am seated on the tape recorder that is recording this message to you. As a point of fact, by the yardstick on my desk, I stand exactly 12 inches, and I am steadily decreasing in size. I calculate if I continue to shrink at the present rate of speed, it is possible that I will become invisible to the human eye sometime before midnight. I've been trying to reach you by phone since 8 this morning, but you are not at home and have not yet arrived at your office. Since you are the only person with an adequate scientific background and technical knowledge to save me, it is imperative that my last whereabouts is known to you in the event I cannot contact you by phone. Thus the precaution of this recording. As you will have discovered by now, I have gone against your orders and pursued my theory of cancer cell growth by working in the lab at night after my regular duties. I have been trying to prove that the biochemical agent not only stops abnormal cell division, but reduces the existing cells in physical size until the neutralizer is induced. The fact that I have shrunk from 5 1/2 feet to 1 foot should be proof beyond refutation, though my condition is the result of an accident. while trying to introduce a more powerful catalyst in the laboratory last night. I inadvertently created an uncontrolled reaction which manifested itself as a white mist which filled the entire lab. The mist lasted no more than a few seconds, and as I observed no effects other than this, I continued working. When I got home, I descended into one of the deepest and blackest sleeps I have ever experienced. I woke this morning to discover myself literally lost in a sea of blankets. I had shrunk 4 feet 8 inches during the night. Naturally, my first reaction was one of panic. But I soon realized that my only salvation was to remain calm until I contacted you. You'll find a more complete report of my theory and the experiments which I've conducted to prove it in the uncompleted thesis here on my desk. This thesis, Dr. Bader, will open a door to a cure for man's worst disease, cancer. As for myself, you'll find detailed instructions on how to reverse the action which I've accidentally initiated. You'll find this on pages 79, 80, and 81. No matter how small I shall become, even microscopic, you will be able to reverse the process if you follow the instructions on those pages. Now, I had better place another telephone call to your office, Dr. Bader, while I'm still big enough to dial the phone. It is just possible that your efficient secretary forgot to tell you that I called. The phone has grown almost half as tall as I am. A strange sensation. Who would think the tensor springs on these dials would be so strong? And who would think I would have to use both hands to dial the telephone? Miss Pritchard, has Dr. Bader come in yet?
Whom shall I say is calling?
This is James Howard, Miss Pritchard. It's urgent.
It doesn't sound like you, Mr. Howard.
It's me, all right.
I'm sorry. Dr. Bader isn't in.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am sure. Dr. Bader is not at this moment in his office.
Now, look, Miss Pritchard, don't pull that Dr. Bader isn't in stuff to me. You tell Dr. Bader I have to talk to him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Howard. Dr. Bader is not in.
Look, this is a matter of life and death.
I'll tell him when he comes in. In the meantime, is there anything I can do?
There's nothing anyone can do but Dr. Bader. He's the only man in the world that can help me.
Well, I'll tell him as soon as he comes in.
Yes, you do that, Miss Pritchard. Why, Dr. Bader? Why, of all days, did you have to pick today to change your routine? For the last 20 years, you've been in your office from 9 until 12. Why did you have to pick this morning to change?
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Hello, this is George Fenneman. You know, an Ohio congressman, born in Pennsylvania, picked out the name for a new Western territory. His choice was Wyoming. But when the Senate talked it over, they almost changed it to Cheyenne, then decided that was too hard to pronounce and put their okay on the congressman's first selection. The name is originally Indian, probably Algonquin, roughly meaning land surrounded by hills. It made the hit parade in a poem titled Gertrude of Wyoming, about an early Indian massacre in Wyoming Valley, Pennsylvania. That's where the congressman got the name.
And now, starring Mr. Richard Beals, Act 2 of Return to Dust.
Self-preservation is the most powerful instinct. It is now 3:30 in the afternoon, and I have shrunk to the unbelievable height of 6 inches. And I'm continuing to shrink. Yet I'm taking every precaution to guarantee that I stay alive. What have I got to live for? What am I? A 32-year-old old man that's losing his hair, walks with a stoop from years of hunching over microscopes. What have I got to show for it? A cheap, furnished room, a meager position as a research fellow, which doesn't pay enough to live like other people. Not enough to have a wife or children, and no dignity, certainly. All that I can call mine is in this room. A couple of suits, some socks with holes in them, piles of heavy books, a microscope on my desk, and a tape recorder to record my notes on. That's all that will be left of Mr. James Howard, research fellow. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Pasteur. And one green and gold parakeet with the name of Pasteur. To pose a hypothetical problem, Dr. Pasteur, who's going to change the water in your cage if I return to dust? Certainly not Dr. Bader. He might steal what little water you had, but he wouldn't change it. Who will? If I don't contact the doctor, it may be a week before the landlady comes up here to clean. He'd starve to death. I've got to open that cage and let him loose. But how? The yardstick. I can push the latch open with that. Yes. Yes, I can just reach it. There. You're free, Dr. Pasteur. You're free. The window is open across the room. There's a whole world. Fly away and make a name for yourself. The whole world. I've got the whole world ahead of me, too, if I live. After I publish my thesis, I'll be famous. I'll have everything I ever dreamed of. But not unless Dr. Bader gets the instructions. So, we resume taping. But I can't reach the start button on the recorder. These books, they're like a grand staircase to the tape deck. And now to start the machine. I'm no longer big enough to push it. Kick it. Oh, that hurt. I've got it. Jump on it. There we go. Dr. Bader? Dr. Bader. This is James Howard recording again. I have still not received your phone call, but I have not given up hope. In the meanwhile, I have made the necessary precautions for isolating myself in the event that you do not call before tomorrow morning. I have made a ramp with a ruler to the stage of the microscope. Glued to the microscope is a transparent glass petri dish. As soon as it becomes apparent that I'm in danger of being lost from view on the desk, I will make my way to the petri dish. But what if you haven't called by the time I could be lost in the petri dish? I could prepare a slide for myself. If I diminish to the size of a one-celled organism, I would have no difficulty in crawling under the cover glass and taking up a position directly under the lens. Perhaps I should prepare a slide now. You've called, Dr. Bader. You've called at last. No! I can't lift it. I'm too small. I can't lift it off the cradle. Don't stop ringing, please. I'll lift it somehow. But how? A lever. Give me a lever, and I can move the world. A pencil. I
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
Although most men by nature don't feel in a combat mood much of the time, there are some who just can't get enough of a good fight, particularly if there's a good, sound reason for it. In July 1900, when American fighting men were protecting the rights and liberty of their fellow countrymen during the Boxer Uprising, the battle was a furiously fought affair. Army Private Robert H. von Schlick, serving with Company C of the 9th United States Infantry Division, was in the thick of the fracas. Although he had been wounded previously while carrying a wounded comrade to a place of safety, he rejoined his command, which partly occupied an exposed position on a dike. Private von Schlick remained there after his company had been withdrawn and, in spite of the hail of bullets around him, single-handedly continued to fire into the enemy ranks. Oblivious to the fact that he was a conspicuous target, he refused to leave the fight until he was literally shot off his position by the enemy. Private Robert von Schlick earned the Medal of Honor for valiant devotion to duty and added heroic background to the code of conduct of American fighting men.
And now, starring Mr. Richard Beals, Act 3 of Return to Dust.
When you hung up, Dr. Bader. But then I remembered a simple law of mathematics. No matter how often you divide a thing, there's still something left. So I went ahead with the preparation for my survival. And a good thing, too. It's not yet 6 o'clock and I am now only a half an inch tall. But everything is now arranged. In the center of the petri dish on the microscope stage is a prepared slide complete with slipcover and label. The only thing lacking is the specimen. And that is me. If I become so small that I am in danger of being lost in the petri dish, I will make my way to the exact center of the slide and take up a position there. You should be able to see me for some time to come because I focused the microscope. All you have to do, Dr. Bader, is look. Just look to see me. My world is such a different place now. Books are as huge as buildings, and pencils seem like telephone poles. I wonder what my world will look like if no one ever finds me. Oh, yes, Dr. Bader. The slide under the microscope is labeled carefully. Of all the slides I've labeled in my lifetime, I hardly thought the last one might become my epitaph. Specimen, James Howard. Species, Homo sapiens. Condition, excellent. Oh, Dr. Pasteur, haven't you flown the coop yet? Is your loyalty so great that you refuse to leave so long as the last particle of me remains? Or are you hungry? What an ugly monster you are from this perspective. Your feathers are like scales of armor, infested with lice, I see. And that beak. No, Dr. Pasteur, no, get away! I must back up slowly. Don't run. Slow. Back between the books and the microphone. Slowly. Now, I'm safe here until he loses interest. I should have let him starve to death in his cage. I wonder if the tape's still recording. I can see the spools still turning. High above me, the clear plastic reflecting the last rays of the sun setting outside my window. But I can't see if there's tape. Are you there? Am I recording, Dr. Bader? This is James Howard. As soon as the bird loses interest, I'm going to make a break for it. I'll make the microscope, Dr. Bader, don't you worry. Treat that slide mark James Howard just like it was me. You understand? Even if you don't think I'm in it, if you
starred in William N. Robeson's production of Return to Dust, written by George Bamber. Supporting Richard Beals in Return to Dust were Paula Winslow and Lawrence Dobkin. Sound patterns by Bill James and Tom Hanley. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Victor Jory in Death Notice. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. This is
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Death is one of the dramatist's most useful tools. For death is drama, posing the ultimate question to which no man has the answer. We have used it often on Suspense, mostly in its more violent aspects. Tonight we use it again, but quietly, subjectively. Tonight we present a modern morality play. But don't let that frighten you away. Our play is sufficiently immoral to satisfy the modern fashion. It has to be, because it is about a modern man. Listen then as Mr. Victor Jory stars in Death Notice, which begins in just a moment.
Welcome, William Bendix.
Nobody can act up to par with a nasty cold. I check my cold distress the fast way, with 4-way cold tablets.
Yes, tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved 4-way fastest acting of all. Amazing 4-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
4-way's the fast way to relieve those cold miseries. Then you feel better quickly.
4-way cold tablets, only 29.59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. Had dandruff for years, now get rid of it in 3 minutes with Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep unsightly dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Then rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch, embarrassing dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave hair up to 35% brighter. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today.
And now, Death Notice, starring Mr. Victor Jory. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
All right, Charlie, you can put on your shirt.
Well, Doc, what's the verdict?
Not bad, not bad.
Not good, huh?
Well, Charlie, at your age, you've got to expect to slow down a little. Take it easy.
You forgot that other one, didn't you?
What other one?
Cliché, the daddy of them all. You're not as young as you once were. Well, who is?
You are, Charlie, and just as difficult.
Listen, Doc. If there's something the matter with me, I've got a right to know it. I can't remember how bad it hurt to be squeezed into life. That first gasp of air must have been a pretty painful experience. I don't know whether the last breath will be a welcome relief or a final agony. But I do know that in between there's been plenty of pain. Not the kind wonder drugs can cure, but the pain of living. It's been pretty well balanced by the joy of living. And the exact depth of agony and the exact height of ecstasy are known only to me. They can't be communicated to any other person. I've lived with them alone. As alone I came into the world, and alone I will leave it. Now, what's the matter with me?
You're going to die, Charlie.
When?
Anytime. Today, tomorrow, next week.
Painfully?
No.
There's no hope?
No, not really. It's leukemia. It's advanced. That's why you've been slowing down, and you'll continue to slow down until you stop.
I see.
Of course, I could hospitalize you, but that wouldn't stop the process.
No, thanks. You won't make a terminal case out of me. I'll live it out.
Well, it's your life.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. So why were you trying to keep my death a secret from me?
I wasn't sure how you'd react.
But you'd tell my wife, and she'd tell my kids and my friends, and everybody would know but me. And the rest of my life, for as long as it lasts, would be one long wait. Why should the survivors suffer prematurely bereaved? This is my death, you know, and I insist on dying my way.
And how are you going about it?
By living. By living each day as though it were my last on earth. Which it very well may be.
Hello.
Doing anything tonight?
Oh, Charlie. I've missed you.
I've been pretty busy, honey, but I'm free tonight.
Oh, I'm glad. What time?
Usual.
Want anything special?
You.
Silly. I mean for dinner.
I'm in your hand.
Oh, that's nice, baby. I'll be ready for you.
I'll be there. On my birthday, when I was a little kid, they called me the birthday boy. And I could do anything I wanted to all day long. But now I'm the death day boy. And surely I can call what's left of my life my own.
Oh?
Hello, Millie.
Oh, John, it's you.
Apparently.
Oh, I knew it'd be you. When the phone rang, I said to myself, that must be Charlie. Funny, isn't it?
Well, you always were psychic, dear. Look, Millie, I have to stay downtown tonight.
Oh, dear. We were supposed to play bridge with the Duffields.
I'm sorry, but this came up unexpectedly. Bob Elliottson from Chicago tonight, and I've got to go over the new sales campaign with him.
Oh, will you be late?
Probably. Don't wait up for me. How many times have I done this, feeling guilty, wretched, like a thief? But not now. What difference does it make now? Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Or the next day. Or the next.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
The most complicated issues of our time become easier to understand as you follow world events on CBS Radio. That's because CBS News features like our World News Roundup and The World Tonight broadcast the news in depth. Every morning, as the World News Roundup comes your way on most of these same stations, it puts you in direct contact with CBS News correspondents stationed where the big stories are breaking. London, Tokyo, Rome. They're all at your fingertips on our World News Roundup. Every evening, the full feeling and flavor of the news are yours to experience on The World Tonight. Hear highly detailed eyewitness reports from overseas. Hear carefully documented actuality reports made by the very people involved in today's big stories. Hear lively interviews with people in the news as CBS News presents The World Tonight.
And now, starring Mr. Victor Jory, Act 2 of Death Notice.
I drove across town through a bright new world. It was as though I was hearing and smelling and seeing for the first time. The ballet of blinking neon signs along the boulevard, the deep ruby of the stoplight and its stately progression through topaz to emerald release. Even the smell of the exhaust broke into a myriad of fascinating odors touched with the clean scent of newly fallen rain. Thus does the familiar, soon to be left behind, become precious and exotic, to be savored lingeringly. And with this richness of sensation, the keen, appetizing anticipation of the evening to come, Sandra's candlelit apartment filled with soft music, the superb dinner with wine and sparkling goblets, and Sandra herself, warm, silken soft.
Baby, Mommy's missed you.
that Sandra had changed. I had never noticed before that her gorgeous red hair was not red all the way to the roots. Her perfume was too obvious. Under her plunging gown, she was softer than I had remembered. Too soft.
How about a drink, baby?
The drink didn't do anything. Neither did the next one. The candles held back the dark. Held back the light, too, from the ridiculous boudoir prints in the wall. Mercifully subdued the clashing colors of the mound of tiny satin pillows on the love seat.
Why don't you get into something more comfortable, baby?
Any time, the doctor had said. Next week. Tomorrow. Tonight. If it's to be tonight, then it must not be here in the arms of this aging, eager, merry widow. I've got to go, Sandra.
Baby, you're not going to eat and run.
I'm afraid so.
It's early yet. Now, you just relax, baby. Put your head on Mommy's lap, like always.
I'm sorry, Sandra. I've got to go.
Where?
Home.
What's there that isn't better here, baby?
That's not the point. It's just that I've got to go.
What do you think I am, a public convenience? Just snap your fingers and Sandra's right there waiting. Just pick up the phone and Sandra drops everything. What's there in it for me, Charlie, baby? Sitting around this crummy dump waiting for you?
I don't know, Sandra. I don't know what there has ever been in it for you. I guess I never thought about you.
You're so right. So long as you got what you wanted, that's all you cared about. Well, it's going to be different from now on. I'm getting out. The next time you're hungry or thirsty or misunderstood, don't bother calling me, because I won't be here.
I won't either, Sandra.
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
A word of advice for those of you who suffer from acid indigestion, heartburn, or gas.
Who do you know about the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll? Just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummy, T-U-M-S. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
The modern Tums formula has never been surpassed for effectiveness. Always carry Tums, 10 cents. 3-roll pack, a quarter. Or get the new 6-roll Tums pack with free metal carrier, only 49 cents.
And now, starring Mr. Victor Jory, Act 3 of Death Notice.
I had no trouble finding the champagne. But have you ever tried to buy roses in a fairly large city at 9:30 at night? It can be done, but it isn't easy. I had never noticed before how perfectly my house key slipped into the lock, how reassuring the latch sounded, how solid the door felt. Home. Beautiful word. A soft word. A strong word. Home. Not man's castle, man's sanctuary. This home have I built against the world. Here I brought my bride. Here we raised our children. Here I belong. Here is peace.
Is that you, Charlie?
Yes, Millie, it's me.
You're home early.
Yes, I cut it short with Bob.
Well, we could almost have gone to the Duffields after all, except I'm nearly ready for bed.
I'm glad you are, Millie. Here, these are for you.
Roses? American Beauty roses? What, Charlie's lady, you been up to something?
Can't a man bring his wife roses once in a while for no reason at all? And champagne?
Champagne? What on earth for?
To celebrate?
Celebrate what?
Nothing, just celebrate.
To declare, I haven't seen you act so crazy in 20 years.
I know. I'm too busy earning a living. Too busy to live. Now run get some glasses while I change to my robe and slippers.
Yes, my lord and master.
And let's have the wine and the roses in our bedroom. She sat on the slippered chair by her dressing table, sipping champagne, a little self-consciously. Like the roses, she had hastily plunged into too small a vase. She overflowed her once trim body. Like the roses, she was full-blown. And like the roses, she was beautiful. The gray that streaked her hair was honest color. The lines at her eyes, at the corners of her mouth, were etched there by laughter and high good humor and courage that more than once had replaced mine.
Bubbles tickle.
They're supposed to. And now I want to propose a toast to the most beautiful girl in the world.
Charlie, I'm not. I never was.
To me, you are. Just as beautiful as you were the first day I saw you in sophomore chemistry class.
Charlie, what's the matter?
Nothing. My breath just came a little short.
Well, you better stop drinking that stuff and get yourself ready for bed.
No, just sit down for a moment. I'll be all right.
Your face is as white as a sheet. Now, you get to bed.
Get to bed, get some sleep, get up, get down to the office, get home and get dinner over so you can sit staring at the TV set until it's time to get to bed and start the whole cycle all over again. Is that what life's about, Millie? Is that all we have to look forward to? Where's the best is yet to be, the poet promised? The last of life for which the first is made. What happened to it? Where does it end? In flat champagne and a pile of rose petals under an empty stalk?
Maybe. Champagne and roses can't make us a bride and groom again, Charlie. This isn't our wedding night, you know.
The moment was gone. Mildred pushed aside a champagne glass and a rose petal fell into it as she turned to the dressing table mirror and started to cream her face. The nightly ritual that erased every line of her identity. And then outside there was the sound of a car driving in and the garage door slamming shut.
Oh, that must be Chuck.
Coming in a little late, isn't he?
Yes, I wish you'd speak to him, Charlie. I just can't do anything with him anymore. I told him not to take my car tonight, but he just took it anyway. I tell you, that boy is going to be the death of me.
The death of you?
What do you mean?
Nothing. I'll talk to him.
Oh, you look so tired. It can wait until morning.
Nothing can wait until morning.
Charlie?
That you, son?
Huh? Yeah, that's me.
Have any idea what time it is?
It's not midnight yet.
Not quite.
Well, I gotta hit the sack.
Sit down, son. I want to talk to you.
I'm tired, Dad. I gotta get some sleep.
I said sit down.
All right. What do you want?
Mother tells me you took the car after she told you not to.
Oh, gee, Dad.
Did you?
Yeah.
I won't have disobedience, son.
Well, get me a car my own.
And I won't have rudeness.
I got some rights.
Rights, yes. But privileges, no. Not until you earn them.
Why should I go out and work for a car? All the other kids' dads buy them.
When I was your age...
Yeah, I know. When you were my age, everything was different. You walked 10 miles to school through blizzards. You studied by the firelight and you got all A's. Well, this isn't the horse and buggy age, Daddy-o. A cat's got to be with it these days.
I won't have this kind of insolence. Go to your room.
Sure, Pop. That's where I was headed in the first place.
This rude, shambling lout was once a pink and tiny thing full of promise. My son. My only son for whom I dreamed so many dreams. My son whom I loathe. Yes, loathe as my father must have loathed me. For children never seem to understand their parents until they become parents themselves. The bedroom was sweet and sour with dead wine and dying roses. And on the bed in the pale nightlight, Mildred's faceless body rose and fell in gentle rhythm. The fire flickered, crackled softly. A flame shot up from the graying embers and fell back. How long does it take a fire to die, or a man? The hearth of my home was growing cold. My home, my sanctuary, was becoming a tomb too soon. The walls closing in, cold and black. Not yet. Not yet. The night was friendlier. The cold, dead stars of heaven were warmer. Heaven Where now do angels dwell since man has sent metal into the sky to join the planets in their ceaseless journeying through eternity? Has God been evicted by Sputnik and Mechtar and Explorer? Are the pearly gates now milestones in the missile race? I walked under the cold, silent stars, and they gave back no answer. I walked the black and empty streets slowly, ever more slowly. I walked through the night and into the dawn, and there at last in the sky before me, silhouetted against the graying east, was a cross. And beneath it the open door, and beyond the altar, and the warm red glow of the votive candles. And I went in. Me, Charlie Slade, modern man. I went into the church because there was nowhere else to go. And I was tired. So very, very tired. And I sat down, and I bowed my head. And after a long time, I heard a voice.
Can I help you, my son?
No one can help me, Father. It's too late.
It's never too late to confess your sins.
My only sin was living. It shall be expiated by my dying. They will cancel each other out. The account will be closed.
The account is never closed until the day of judgment.
For the faithful, perhaps. But I have no faith.
You need only to know that God has not abandoned you.
Perhaps not. But I abandoned God long ago. I have no right to seek him now.
His son said, "Come unto me, ye who are heavy laden."
I am not heavy laden. I am empty of feeling, of hope, of faith. Alone I came into this world. Alone I lived in it. And alone I leave it.
No man is ever alone in the sight of God.
Oh, dear God. If only I could believe it. If only I could believe it.
Suspense, in which Victor Jory starred in Death Notice. Written, produced, and directed by William N. Robeson. In a moment, the names of the supporting players and a word about next week's story of suspense.
America's traffic accident rate is tragically high, and unnecessarily so. What makes the problem so difficult to deal with are emotions, which so many people bring into play when they sit behind the wheel. Scientific studies show that most of our traffic accidents are caused when drivers give way to childish impulses. The driver who insists on going when the traffic light says stop is behaving like a spoiled child. So is the fellow who thinks he's too important to obey the legal speed limit. So is the woman who forgets to signal other drivers when she's making a turn. To be inconsiderate of others on the highway, however, is more than mere bad manners. It's tempting fate. When you get behind the wheel of your car, remember that you're an adult. Drive with patience. Drive with courtesy. Drive with care. Safety-conscious drivers get where they're going just as fast as reckless drivers do. And more important, they arrive alive. If you plan to live to a ripe old age, act your age wherever you drive.
Supporting Victor Jory in Death Notice were Lee Patrick, Brooke Byron, Peter Votrian, and Barney Phillips. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Charles Dickens' classic story, The Signalman, starring Miss Ellen Drew. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
On CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
More often than not, a classic suffers in adaptation from one medium to another. The play you are about to hear is an exception. The late, great writer-director Irving Reese has given a dimension to the story that the late, great Charles Dickens never imagined when he wrote it almost 100 years ago. We suggest that you might find it interesting to read the Dickens story after listening to this, the Reese dramatization of The Signalman, starring Miss Ellen Drew.
It had smashed by like a wounded monster, screaming in pain, and disappeared into the dark tunnel. In those brief seconds, I had relived the emotions of my childhood. I still trembled with the child's terror and fascination that had surged through me the many times I stood here 20 years before. Nothing had changed. The steep, dripping wet walls of jagged stone that led down to the tracks, the gloomy mouth of the tunnel, the small signalman's shack huddled against the side of the cutting. Even the job was held by the same man, they told me in the village. He stood there in the glow of an angry sunset, furling a signal flag around a short pole. I called to him. "Hello! Below!" Instead of looking up at me, he turned tensely to stare toward a red signal light that glowed at the mouth of the tunnel. "Hello! Below there! I would like to speak to you. May I come down?" He finally looked at me and silently pointed his flag to the path in the embankment. I climbed down quickly and walked toward him with a casual smile. He watched me suspiciously, almost fearfully. "Hello. I'm Amy Sayers. I'm sorry if I startled you when I called down."
Why would you think that, miss?
"Well, you stare at me as though you had a dread of me."
Yes, miss. I was doubtful whether I had seen you before.
"Well, if you have, it was when I was 8 years old, standing on that bridge over the tunnel up there. I used to love watching the trains. Then my family moved to the city, and this is my first visit back in 20 years. Well, you don't believe me.
Well, I'm not certain.
But where could you have seen me?
Don't you know?
I know, since I've been away for 20 years.
Up there, by the red signal light at the mouth of the tunnel.
Oh, that's why you turned and stared there when I first called.
Yes, miss.
Well, what would I be doing at the signal light?
Well, I don't know. I wish I... No, it's a mistake, miss. What is it you wish to speak to me about?
Well, I'm a writer. I wanted to interview you.
Me? Well, why me, miss?
Well, my magazine does a weekly biographical piece on interesting people and unusual occupations. It's called Close Up.
Oh, yes, miss. I've read them.
Oh, you have?
Oh, you seem surprised.
Pleased, perhaps.
That one so unsophisticated.
Well, I didn't really mean it that way.
Well, there's a bit of a fire in my shack. It'd be more comfortable for you there. Won't you come on in?
Well, thank you. Oh, how snug and comfortable.
Well, most of my waking life is spent here, and I've tried to make it pleasant.
Ah, you have a fine collection of books.
They're giving me much companionship in the long nights.
Pretty weighty companions. Gibbon's Decline and Fall, Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy, Darwin...
Did they surprise you, miss?
Well, I can't help wondering why a man with a mind capable of absorbing these subjects would stay on a desolate job like this.
Oh, why would a pretty lady reporter come here for a story? There are many other places and people.
Well, as I told you, I used to come here as a child, and the trains frightened and fascinated me. I always remembered it vividly through the years. I promised myself that one day I would come back and do a story on it. Good subjects aren't easy to find, you know.
Why'd you choose just now to come?
Well, these ideas germinate in the writer's mind for a while, and then an impulse...
And you were drawn here?
Well, you say that as though mystic forces were involved. It was much simpler, I assure you. I've been working hard, and I decided that a few days in the country would do me good. I planned to use them profitably by doing a story on you.
Oh, you might have come to that decision last month or last year.
Well, that's true. But I can't see why you attach such special...
Why does the train frighten you so?
Now, wouldn't you think I might outgrow that silly, childish fear? If I was drawn here, as you say, I guess it was to see whether I had. The modern psychiatrist would say it was a desire to relive a childhood experience.
Oh, yes, miss, there are many answers. Yeah, philosophers have even speculated on the possibility that the future can intrude on the memory as well as the past.
Surely you don't believe that.
I believe only in the evidence of my five senses.
May I ask, why did you go to the door?
To check the tunnel light.
Does it need to be checked so often? You did before we came in. Why are you staring at me like that?
Oh, was I staring at you?
Oh, please. Something is preying on your mind. Can't you tell me?
The fire needs stirring.
You're avoiding my question.
Oh, you let me ask you a question. When the train passed just now, why did you suddenly throw your hands up to your eyes? Like this, as though to shut out some dreadful sight. Why?
It was that uncontrollable, childish reaction, like I said. I felt as though the train would draw me out of here and onto the track. I covered my eyes like a child not to see it.
And you had no feeling that the action was conveyed to you for some reason?
No, why should it?
Because there's been someone at the red light at the mouth of the tunnel each night for a week now, holding its hands up to its eyes like you did, as though to shut out some terrible sight.
And you have actually seen it?
Oh, every night.
Was it there just now when you went to the door?
Yes, I saw it quite clearly.
Who was it?
You.
Sat there for a long, breathless moment as the train roared off into the night, leaving only their singing rails to mark its passing. It was a moment of terror, until reason snapped me back to reality. But it's impossible. How can I be sitting here in your signal shack and be outside under the signal light at the same time?
I don't know, miss, but that's the way it seems to be. You were standing out there with your left arm across your face and waving your right arm violently as though to say, for God's sake, clear the way, clear the way.
You heard those words?
Well, I'm not certain, not about those specific words, but I've heard it called before.
When?
Oh, one moonlight night about a year ago, I was sitting here when I heard a voice cry, hello, below there.
Well, that's why you were startled when I used the same words from the top of the bank.
Yes, Miss. Well, I ran to the door and I looked out and I saw this someone else standing up there by the red light near the tunnel, waving its arms as I just showed you. And the voice was hoarse with shouting and it cried, hello, below there, look out, look out. I caught up my lamp and I ran towards the figure calling, what's wrong? What's happened? Where? And when I got to the light, it was gone.
Did you see where?
The tunnel was the only place you could go without passing me. Well, I ran into the tunnel for 100 yards or so, and I searched around with my light, and then I ran back here and I telegraphed both ways. Yes, Mr. Telegraph. An alarm has been given. Is anything wrong? The answer came back both ways. All was well.
Of course, with that wind moaning through the tunnel and the wild harp it makes of the telegraph wires, it's understandable that you could have the illusion you heard a call. And anyone staring at the dark long enough, as you did from the door, could imagine seeing something. You've let it prey on your mind so long it seems real.
I was not finished, miss.
I'm sorry.
Within 6 hours after it first appeared, the main line flyer crashed and derailed at the far end of the tunnel. And within 10 hours, the dead and the wounded were being brought through the tunnel over to the spot where the figure stood.
Coincidence. A tragic, remarkable coincidence. I can't see...
There is more, miss.
Oh, please forgive me.
6 or 7 months passed, and I'd recovered from the surprise and the shock when one morning, just as daylight was breaking, I looked toward the red light, and I saw it again.
Did it cry out?
No, it was silent.
And it didn't wave its arm?
No, miss, no. It leaned against the post with both hands covering the eyes. Like this, as though to blot out some terrible sight.
So that's why you asked me why I put my hands to my eyes when the first train passed.
Oh, yes, miss. You called out the words it used the first time, and you covered your eyes as it did the second time.
Go on, please.
Well, that very day, as the train came out of the tunnel, I noticed a confusion of hands and heads at one of the coach platforms and something waving. And I saw it in time to flag down the engineer. He applied his brakes, but the train drifted past here about 100 yards. And as I ran up to it, I heard terrible screams and cries. And, a beautiful young woman had fallen between the cars, and she was brought in here. And she died on this very spot between us.
Oh, how horrible. But I still don't see
how... One final word, miss, and you'll judge how my mind is troubled. It came back a week ago, and ever since, it's been there.
At the light?
Yes. It covers its eyes, waves its arm, and it shouts, for God's sake, clear the way, clear the way. I've no rest or peace for it. It calls to me many minutes together in an agonized manner. Below there, look out, look out. It stands waving at me, and it sounds a telegraph ticker.
Has it sounded the ticker since I've been here?
Twice.
I assure you it's your imagination. There has been no sound of the telegraph.
Oh, I don't wonder that you failed to hear it, but I heard it.
Do you hear it now?
Yes.
What is it saying?
Well, it isn't clear. It only warns. It doesn't say against what. If I only knew, I could warn them. But it doesn't say. What is the danger? Where? There is danger somewhere on the line. Some terrible calamity will happen tonight, and I can do nothing about it. Nothing.
It was obvious that this poor, tortured signalman was the victim of hallucinations and delusions. The loneliness of his post and the tedium of his duties were certainly enough to derange anyone. But certainly a man of his intelligence could be convinced that it was only his mind playing tricks on him.
Well, how can you say that in the face of what I just told you?
Listen, you were positive when you first saw me that I was the specter you saw at the light, weren't you?
You used the same
word.
Well,
now listen carefully. I appeal to the intelligent, well-read, reasonable man. 3 words. Hello, below there. I was more than 100 feet away at the top of the embankment, and you were here below with darkness falling, and 3 words made you positive you had seen me before. Can't you see? You were trying to fit something to what you already believed.
But then you put your hands to your eyes.
Further proof. You have allowed yourself to believe some disaster is about to befall. When I covered my eyes because of a childish fear, you fitted that to what you already believed.
Well, the telegraph ticker was...
You must hear me out. Would you at any other time, or would anyone at any time, believe that a telegraph ticker could sound in a room this small and be heard by one person and not another?
But I told...
And now the most important proof. You said that when you went to the door a while ago, It was there by the red danger light.
Yes, it was.
Will you come to the door with me now and tell me if it is still there? Well, do you see it?
No, miss. It ain't there.
Of course it isn't. And now I'm going to prove that it never was there. The post is at least 7 feet high. The light is shielded with a hood. Even if a person stood directly under it or in front of it, they would be in complete shadow in darkness. You couldn't see that person from this door, and you couldn't see that person if you walked to within a few yards of her or him or it. I'm going to walk up the incline to the light and prove it to you. I walked up the inclining tracks toward the red light at the mouth of the tunnel. The chill, dank wind had an edge like a cold knife. When I got to the light post, I stood directly under it. No portion of the red glow reached me. I was lost completely in the dark. I saw the signalman silhouetted in the yellow light of the doorway. Hello? Can you see me? Hello, below there. Can you see me?
Oh.
Good. Now start walking toward me and tell me when you can see me. He stepped between the rails of the northbound track on the line with the red signal light and walked toward me. Then suddenly the icy hand of my childhood dread gripped me. There was a vague vibration of the earth and air. Far behind him, down the grade, I could see the glow of the locomotive's light. Look out! Look out! For God's sake, clear the way! Clear the way! He walked as though in a spell. He didn't hear me or wouldn't hear me. I was rooted to the gravel. I threw my left arm up to my eyes and waved my right arm frantically. Below there! Look out! Look out! Clear the way! For God's sake, clear the way! Long after it was over, they found me, still standing there, both of my hands up to my eyes to shut out the terrible sight.
Suspense, in which Ellen Brew starred in William N. Robeson's production of The Signalman by Charles Dickens, adapted for radio by Irving Reese. The Signalman was played by Ben Wright. Sound patterns by Bill James and Tom Hanley. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Miss Marie Wilson in Star Over Hong Kong. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Following the news, listen for Have Gun, Will Travel on CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
We beg the indulgence of the aficionados of bloodshed. We pray patience of the connoisseurs of carnage, the hoarders of horror, and those who treasure terror. Tonight we murder no one. Tonight our heroine enjoys every moment of the predicament in which we place her. Tonight we let the light of laughter into the dark corridors of suspense with one of the zaniest comedians of our time, Marie Wilson. Listen then to Miss Wilson in Star Over Hong Kong, which begins in just a moment.
Here's actress Joan Bennett.
It's terrible to try to act with a dreadful cold. To feel better quickly, I take 4-way cold tablets, the fast way to relieve nasty cold distress.
Yes, tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved 4-way fastest acting of all. Amazing 4-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
When you catch cold, try my way. Take 4-way cold tablets. the fast way to relieve cold distress.
Four-way, 29 and 59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. Does dandruff dull your hair, leave scalp itchy? Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo and get rid of unsightly dandruff in 3 minutes. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep embarrassing dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch, unsightly dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave your hair up to 35% brighter. Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo.
And now, Star Over Hong Kong, starring Miss Marie Wilson. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
One has to be on one's toes in Hong Kong. Touchy duty, one crisis after another. Had one recently nearly undid us. Movie star from America. Very beautiful girl. Too beautiful. Yes. But permit me, Randolph Harbison Smythe here, press attaché to the governor of Hong Kong. You probably never heard of the incident, managed to hush it up at the time, but now it can safely be told, and should, I believe, as a warning to the free world. It began at the Hong Kong airport. I was there to welcome a rather important member of Her Majesty's loyal opposition, who was on a fact-finding junket to the more distant outpost of our one-time empire. However, the first passenger off the plane was not the member from Upper Cotswold, but a little man in one of those dreadful Hawaiian shirts. As soon as he saw the group of native reporters who had accompanied me, he started giving orders.
She'll be out in just a minute. First shot at the top of that ramp, then a couple coming down, then she'll be glad to pose for any individual shots. Now, which one of you guys is Harbison Smith?
It's Harbison Smythe, and I am he.
Glad to meet you, Smitty. I'm Joey Finn, Mid-Century Mammoth Studios. Now, I gotta hand it to you, Smitty. Our own people did.
I must confess that I haven't the foggiest notion what he was talking about, and I couldn't have cared less.
Okay, honey, action, camera.
And then she appeared at the door of the plane, her arm raised in greeting, her hair framing her face in gold, her smile flashing, her tight dress enhancing that with which nature had already been over-generous. And I remembered a cable I had received 2 days ago alerting me to the arrival of Celestine Mayhew of the American cinema. I had disregarded it since it is not usually my policy to greet theatrical people, but I must say my first glimpse of Miss Mayhew convinced me that the policy would have to be revised.
All right, boys. Got everything you need? Fine. Well, Smitty, what is the program?
The program?
What you got laid on? Press conference, reception for the governor? We're in your hands.
Well, suppose we begin with first things first.
Yeah, like what?
Meeting Miss Mayhew.
Oh, sure. Hey, sweetie, come over here. I want you should shake hands with Smitty here. Mr. Harbison Smith, press attaché to the governor. That's press agent, sweetie.
Oh, how heavenly, Mr. Smith.
Oh, I'm charmed, Miss Mayhew. And it's Smythe, not Smith.
Cute. I just adore Englishmen, Mr. Smythe. They're so heavenly. And it's not true at all that they're cold, is it?
Oh, dear, no. No, not at all. I dare say you'd like to meet the press.
Oh, yes, I just love reporters.
Gentlemen, I give you Miss Celestine Mayhew of the American cinema.
That's Mid-Century Mammoth Studio, boys.
Oh, boys, I think it's so heavenly of you to meet me. I just love Hong Kong. It's just heavenly. I do believe it's my favorite city in the whole wide world. I can't wait to try some real chop suey, the way you prepare it in Hong Kong. I'm sorry, would you repeat that question, please?
It's no question. Chop suey no belong Hong Kong. Chop suey belong in Chicago. No Chinese make it chop suey. Chop suey for American.
Of course it is, and we love it. We are so grateful to China for it. It's so heavenly.
Okay, honey, leave them while they're laughing.
Okay, Joey. And now, are there any further questions?
Hong Kong press corps gives humble thanks to lady for interview.
How heavenly. Isn't it just heavenly, Joey?
Yeah. Well, Smitty, these airport arrival shots will do for a starter, but they're pretty Squaresville.
Squaresville?
Yeah, we want to get some leg art with local color, like Celestine sitting in the lap of one of them Buddhas.
Oh, what a heavenly idea, Joey. Sheer genius.
I'm afraid the Chinese might take rather a dim view.
Oh, and another thing. Do you know whether the Sultan of Tekgongjima is in town?
The what?
Celestine's very big in Tekgongjima. The Sultan's her number one fan.
Oh, yes. I'm very large with the Sultan. He's got a print of every one of my movies, and he runs them over and over. Isn't that heavenly? He writes to me all the time, and I send him all of my pin-up pictures.
I see. Did he ever send you his picture?
No.
No wonder. He's as wide as he is high. More than 300 pounds and only 5 feet tall.
Oh, cute.
With his dimensions and Celestine's, what coverage? Why, a shot of them shaking hands would push everything off the front page. When can you set it up, Smitty?
Mr. Finn, Tekgongjima is an island nearly 1,000 miles south of here, and the Sultan is its absolute monarch. With all due respect to Miss Mayhew, I doubt if he would come running up here for a publicity picture.
Well, it didn't hurt the Prince of Monaco any. And whatever grades Kelly's got, Celestine's got more of it.
Right.
Oh, Joey, you say the nicest thing.
Wait a minute. I got a better idea. Look, that limey battleship out in the harbor. We'll shoot a layout of Celestine with all them sailors.
Oh, I just adore sailors. They're so yummy and clean cut.
You know, hands across the sea stuff. English-speaking cousins get together, Jazz, you know.
No, I don't, though. I don't think the Royal Navy might...
Sell it, chum, sell it. All you got to do is point out the publicity value. With Celestine Mayhew in the picture, I can get the British Navy on the cover of Life.
What I love about you, Joey, is you think big.
Got to, honey, or you wind up in Nowheresville.
Mr. Finn, it is my duty to warn you that such a course of action might have most embarrassing consequences.
You mean no can do?
Yes, I suppose that's what I mean.
America's traffic accident rate is tragically high and unnecessarily so. What makes the problem so difficult to deal with are emotions, which so many people bring into play when they sit behind the wheel. Scientific studies show that most of our accidents are caused when drivers give way to childish impulses. The driver who insists on going when the traffic light says stop is behaving like a spoiled child. So is the fellow who thinks he's too important to obey the legal speed limit. So is the woman who forgets to signal other drivers when she's making a turn. To be inconsiderate of others on the highway, however, is more than mere bad manners. It's tempting fate. When you get behind the wheel of your car, remember that you're an adult. Drive with patience. Drive with courtesy. Drive with care. Safety-conscious drivers get where they're going just as fast as reckless drivers do. And more important, they arrive alive. If you plan to live to a ripe old age, act your age wherever you drive.
And now, starring Miss Marie Wilson, Act 2 of Star Over Hong Kong.
The rest of the afternoon was taken up with the dreary task of welcoming the MP from Upper Cotswold, but I must say my heart was not in it. And as soon as I could, I broke away from the governor's reception and hurried to Miss Mayhew's hotel to see if I could be of any further service to her. I was surprised and deeply concerned to find the poor girl in tears.
Oh, Mr. Smythe, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Why, whatever is the matter, Miss Mayhew?
It's Joey. He's in jail.
In jail? What for?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, one isn't incarcerated for nothing. What did he do?
Nothing. We just went for a boat ride.
A boat ride?
Yes. Joey hired one of these cute little Chinese boats, and he told the man to take us out to that big battleship in the harbor.
Oh.
Only they wouldn't let us on the boat.
Naturally.
And while Joey was arguing with the sailor at the gangplank, a lot of other sailors started crowding along the deck rail.
Naturally.
They waved at me and whistled. Oh, they were so cute. So I waved back.
Naturally.
And Joey took some pictures of me waving at them and them waving at me. And that's when they arrested him. Oh, Mr. Smythe, what am I going to do? Here I am, all alone in Hong Kong.
You're not alone, my dear Miss Mayhew. No, I'm here.
I don't know what I'd do if you weren't, Mr. Smythe.
Why don't you call me Randolph?
Cute, Randolph.
Thank you, Celestine.
My close friends call me Sally.
Silly?
It is, isn't it? But it's short for Celestine.
Oh, Sally.
That's right, Randy.
Yes. Well, but we must try to get Mr. Finn out of jail.
Oh, yes, poor Joey. He's simply got to be back here by 7 o'clock.
Well, I am not sure that I can have him released that soon.
But who's going to take me to the party?
What party?
The man who owns all the big movie theaters here in Hong Kong. He's giving a dinner in my honor. I just can't go alone.
No, of course you can't. I had it.
What?
An idea. Now, if I'm unable to procure Mr. Finn's release by 7 o'clock, would you permit me to escort you?
Oh, Randy, I was hoping you'd say that. It'll be just heavenly.
My heart wasn't really in getting Mr. Finn released, but I went through the motions, confident that the port security officer would be reluctant to let him go. He was.
By rights, Mr. Smythe, I should hold you responsible for this mess.
Me, Captain? What?
Oh, you're the press attaché. These types are your responsibility. However, he's ours now.
What are you holding him for?
Violation, Official Secrets Act.
Oh, now, come on, Captain. Whatever else he may be, this Finn chap isn't a spy.
The law is very explicit. The foredeck of HMS Lionheart is classified. Guided missile installation, all that sort of thing. And he was caught in the act of photographing it.
No, he was photographing Sally. Miss Mayhew with the sailors in the background.
And the guided missiles.
That's your coincidence.
Quite.
Well, I'd like to make arrangements for his release.
Negative. This is a matter for the Admiralty. They take months.
But, what about Miss Mayhew?
I am afraid, Mr. Smythe, that Miss Mayhew is your problem. Bitter?
Yes, isn't it? Oh, well, I've done what I could. Perhaps I could do more tomorrow. But right now I was late for my engagement with the celestial Celestine. And I hurried home to change. I was just putting the last stud in my dress shirt when the phone rang. Harbison Smile here.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Sally. I'm just leaving.
Well, don't pick me up at the hotel because I'm not there.
Oh?
No. You see, this charming Chinese gentleman called for me, and he just wouldn't take no for an answer. He said they were all waiting for me and everything. And since you are just a wee bit late, I knew you wouldn't mind my running on ahead.
Perhaps you just as soon I didn't come at all.
Well, of course not, silly boy. It's just a heavenly party. Oh, man. Isn't that heavenly? And they're all smoking divine little pipes.
What? Well, good heavens, Celestine, don't you smoke any of that.
Oh, don't worry, Randy. I wouldn't think of smoking a pipe. It's so unladylike.
Celestine, this is a man who called for you. What was his name?
It was a cute name. Funny but cute. Something like Wong Fat.
Celestine? Celestine? That's rather a poor show. I rushed to the home of the theater owner. There was a party there, all right. The guests were chatting and sipping cocktails, and the air was filled with the fragrance of women's perfume without a trace of the smell of opium. There was only one thing wrong. The guest of honor, Celestine May, who had not yet arrived, and I had a terrible suspicion that she never would.
When acid indigestion slows you down, get relief quickly, safely, effectively. Settle the upset fast with a modern antacid that goes everywhere with you.
Who do you know about the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll? Just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummy, Tums. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
No acid rebound with modern Tums. Get Tums, 10 cents. 3-roll pack a quarter, or the new Tums 6-roll pack with free metal carrier, 49 cents.
And now,
starring Miss Marie Wilson, Act 3 of Star Over Hong Kong.
I drove at once to the port security office, but the captain wasn't there. Nor was he at home or at his club. Well, at last I located him by phone at the home of the theater owner, where he had gone, presumably, to investigate Celestine Mayhew at close hand.
Won't your business wait until morning, Mr. Smythe?
No, I don't think so. Captain, you've got a kidnapping on your hands.
It's a common crime in the Orient.
Not when the victim is Celestine Mayhew.
Oh, nonsense. She's due here any minute.
But she'll never arrive. She was lured from her hotel by a man named Wong Fat something or other. Now, does the name mean anything to you?
Well, I have to consult my file.
Well, just off the top of your head, do you know any Wong Fats?
I seem to remember a Wong Fat Lee. We executed him for murder a few months past.
That's the wrong Wong.
Then there's Wong Fat John. You must know him. He's a charming chap. He's pastor of the Victoria Presbyterian Church.
Sounds like an unlikely suspect. Oh, she said it was a cute name just before the line was cut.
Cute name? Would Miss Mayhew consider Wong Fat Toy a cute name?
She might. What about him?
Slippery customer. We've been watching for him for some time. We've never been able to take him into custody.
But why is he under surveillance?
Oh, he's in the export business, but we have reason to believe that his real occupation is smuggling. He does a lot of trading with the islands down toward Borneo, Celebes.
Wait a minute, including the island of Tekkongjima?
Yes. I believe he claims to be a sort of personal representative of the Sultan of Tekkongjima.
That's our man. Where can we find him?
Oh, he lives, his go-down on the dock near Queen's Pier.
Well, let's get cracking and I'll meet you there.
All right, old boy.
I got to the dock first. The place was deserted, but at the end of the pier was a big junk, and on its foredeck was a pile of luggage that I had seen before that day. Celestine Mayhew's luggage. The stern line had already been slipped, and the coolie was casting off the byline. I leapt onto the afterdeck, and an instant later, a huge Chinese leapt onto me. The rest was silence for a while. When I came to, the first thing I saw was the port captain slapping handcuffs on the last of the sailors, and the next thing I saw was Celestine Mayhew, and she appeared to be quite upset.
I really think you owe me an explanation, Randolph. Mr. Wong has just been heavenly to me all evening, and he was just about to take me for a moonlight boat ride when you had to go and spoil everything.
That would have been quite a boat ride, Celestine.
What do you mean?
Well, no doubt you've been too busy to notice the cargo on the forward deck.
What are you talking about?
Your luggage. My guess is that your moonlight boat ride was a trip to Tekkongjima.
Where my son lives? Well, why did you go and stop it? It sounds like a heavenly trip.
One way. Did the Sultan ever mention his wives when he wrote to you?
Wives?
Yes, wives. 34 of them. Last time they were counted, and I'll wager quite a few of them were provided this way by Mr. Wong.
Well, Wong, do you wish to make a statement now, or must we force one from you later?
It is as the brash one says. Sultan Tekkongjima, good friend a long time. He no like 34 wives. He only wants this lady. Soon Sultan have a birthday. I bring him lady for a birthday present.
Isn't that a charming thought? Me a birthday present for a sultan. Well, really, it's just...
heavenly? Well, we managed to get Celestine checked back into her hotel in as good condition as she left it, and I bade her good night, promising to meet her for lunch the next day. But when I arrived, she had checked out again. And no one could or would tell me where she'd gone, so once more I went to the port captain.
Now, there's nothing to get excited about, Mr. Smythe. Miss Mayhew's quite all right. I saw her off at dawn myself.
Oh, where to? Singapore?
Oh, heavens, no. We should not want to embarrass another of Her Majesty's possessions. Oh, no. I went to the trouble of laying on a Royal Air Force bomber which will take them non-stop to Guam. I felt it better for all concerned that they should return to and remain on American soil.
They? Is Mr. Finn with her?
Indeed he is.
But what about the spy charge you were holding him on?
Oh, there are sometimes higher considerations, Mr. Smythe, such as world peace.
I don't understand.
Now, supposing Wong Fat Toy successfully spirited Miss Mayhew to the Sultan of Tekkonjima, do you think for a moment the American government would submit to such an indignity? Oh, no. The American Seventh Fleet would have become involved, and inevitably certain units of the British Navy. And what with the state of the world today, who knows where the affair would have ended.
Yes, I see what you mean. I hadn't looked at it quite that way.
It's a pity you didn't. I tell you, Smile, that girl was the fuse that could have ignited the powder keg of Asia.
Oh, I dare say. Still, I should have liked to have had an evening of her company.
Oh, so would I. Oh, boy, well, so would I. But there are times, in peace as well as in war, when we must make sacrifices above and beyond the call of duty.
Suspense, in which Marie Wilson starred in Star Over Hong Kong, written, produced, and directed by William N. Robson. In a moment, the names of the supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Each weeknight over CBS Radio, the men behind two of the most familiar voices in the land, Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas, bring word of the day's important happenings to a listening America. Both Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas have highest personal standards of responsibility of professional ethics as newsmen. You'll find that the news takes on added clarity and meaning. You'll be left with a better understanding of the day's news events when you hear Edward R. Murrow and Lowell Thomas each Monday through Friday night over most of these same CBS radio stations.
Supporting Marie Wilson in Star Over Hong Kong were Ben Wright, Charlie Lung, Ramsey Hill, and Norm Alden. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Mr. Herbert Marshall in Waxworks. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Miss Wilson is currently appearing in Ken Murray's Blackouts at the Ritz Theater in Los Angeles.
The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robson.
There is an old definition which describes the theater as a plank on two barrels and a passion. Analogously, we might describe radio drama as a microphone, a voice, and a story. Tonight we have all three and little else. Little else is needed when the voice belongs to an actor of the stature of Herbert Marshall. We present him without supporting players, without sound effects, and no more than the usual musical trimmings. His voice is all that's needed to strike terror to your heart. So send the more impressionable small children out of the room, dim the lights, settle back and listen as Mr. Marshall stars in A.M. Burrage's chilling story, The Waxwork, which begins in just a moment.
Here's Frankie Lane. I never feel like singing with a bad cold, so I take wonderful 4-way cold tablets to relieve my cold misery fast.
Right. Tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved 4-way fastest acting of all. Amazing 4-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
So when you catch cold, take my advice. Take 4-way cold tablets. It's the fast way to relieve those nasty cold miseries and feel better quickly.
4-way, 29 and 59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. To get rid of embarrassing dandruff in 3 minutes, change to Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep unsightly dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Then rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch, and embarrassing dandruff's gone. At the same time, Fitch can brighten hair up to 35%. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today.
And now, The Waxwork, starring Mr. Herbert Marshall. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
uniformed attendants of Mariner's Waxworks were ushering the last stragglers through the exit, the manager sat in his office interviewing Raymond Houston, a young journalist somewhat down on his luck. The manager was speaking. It used to be said years ago that Madame Tussauds would give a man £100 for sleeping alone in the Chamber of Horrors. I hope you don't think that we have made any such offer, Mr. Houston. By the way, what is your paper? I'm freelancing at present. However, I should find no difficulty in getting the story printed. The Morning Echo would use it like a shot. A night with Mariner's murderers. Very well, Mr. Houston. It's no small ordeal that you're proposing to undertake. I own I shouldn't care to take it on. I should hate having to spend the night alone in the murderer's den. Why? Well, those waxworks represent the lowest and most appalling types of humanity. The whole atmosphere of the place is unpleasant, and if you are susceptible to atmosphere, I warn you that you are in for a very uncomfortable night. Houston had known that from the moment the idea had first occurred to him. His soul sickened at the prospect. But here was a chance not to be missed. The price of a special story in the Morning Echo. Besides, if he wrote the story well, it might lead to an offer of regular employment. The manager smiled and rose. Well, I think the last of the people must have gone by now. One condition I'm afraid I must impose on you. I must ask you not to smoke. We had a fire scare down there this evening. I don't know who gave the alarm, but whoever it was a false one. Fortunately, there were very few people down there at the time, or there might have been a panic. And now, if you're ready, I'll take you down to the murderer's den.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Here comes Elmer Blurt, world's lowest pressure salesman.
Nobody home, I hope. It says here, J.P. Pullum, dentist. You wouldn't want to buy a new 1959 Rambler, would you, Doc?
You are a lucky man. I just happen to have a vacancy. Sit down.
Yeah, but Doc...
Open wide. Oh, that's right. You know, you don't have to sell me on the 59 Rambler. It's first in economy, first in sales gains, and no wonder. Rambler has the best of both. Big car room, small car economy.
Yeah, but Doc...
Oh, relax. Can't you salesmen ever stop selling? You know, Rambler's got quite an idea with that personalized comfort. Independently adjustable front seats, adjustable headrests, easiest parking and handling in America. Now, that 59 Rambler is so terrific it makes you want to put your foot right down on the accelerator. No, that didn't hurt, did it?
Oh, gosh, Willikers, no. That's my lower plate you've been drilling.
Rambler continues to pass car after car in sales. In state after state, Rambler now outsells all but two other makes. Come see why. Drive the success car at your Rambler dealers.
And now, starring Mr. Herbert Marshall, Act 2 of The Waxwork.
The murderer's den in Mariner's Waxworks was an eerie and uncomfortable chamber. A chamber whose atmosphere invited its visitors to speak in whispers. The waxwork murderers stood on low pedestals. Recent notoriety rubbed dusty shoulders with the old favorites. Thurtell, the murderer of Weir, stood as if frozen in the act of making a shop-window gesture to young Bywaters. There was Lefroy, the poor half-baked little snob who killed for gain so that he might ape the gentleman. Within a few yards of him sat Mrs. Thompson, that erotic romanticist, hanged to propitiate British middle-class matronhood. Charles Peace, the only member of the vile company who looked uncompromisingly and entirely evil, sneered across at Norman Thorne. The manager pointed out several of the more interesting of these unholy notabilities. That's Crippen. I expect you recognize him. Insignificant little beast who looks as if he couldn't tread on a worm. That is Armstrong. Looks like a decent, harmless country gentleman, doesn't he? There's old Vaquier. You can't miss him, of course, because of his beard. And this one. Who's that? Houston asked in a whisper. Oh, have a good look at him. This is our star. He's the only one of the bunch that hasn't been hanged. The figure which Houston had indicated was that of a small, slight man, not much more than 5 feet in height. It wore little waxed moustaches, large spectacles, and an opera cape. There was something so exaggeratedly French in its appearance that it reminded Houston of a stage caricature. He could not have said precisely why the mild-looking face seemed to him so repellent. Who is he? That, said the manager, is Dr. Burdett. Houston shook his head doubtfully. I think I've heard the name, but I forget in connection with what. Oh, you would remember better if you were a Frenchman. A little while back, that man was the terror of Paris. He carried on his work of healing by day and of fruit-cutting by night. He killed for the sheer devilish pleasure it gave him to kill. And always in the same way, with a razor. But at last he left a clue behind him which set the police upon his track. But he was too clever for them. When he realized that the coils were closing about him, he mysteriously disappeared, and ever since, the police of every civilized country have been looking for him. However, there is no doubt that he managed to do away with himself, and by some means which has prevented his body coming to light. I don't like him at all. What eyes he's got. Yes, this figure's a little masterpiece. You find the eyes bite into you? Well, that's excellent realism, then, for Burdett practiced mesmerism and was supposed to hypnotize his victims before dispatching them. Indeed, had he not done so, it is impossible to see how so small a man could have accomplished his ghastly work. There were never any signs of a struggle. I thought I saw him move. Well, you'll have more than one optical illusion before the night's out, I expect, sir. I'm sorry I can't give you any more light, but all the lights are already on. For obvious reasons, we keep this place as gloomy as possible. Well, good night, Mr. Houston. The manager had provided an armchair for Houston, who immediately turned it so that his back was towards the effigy of Dr. Burdett. For some undefined reason, he liked Dr. Burdett a great deal less than his companions. The dim and wavering light fell on the rows of figures which were so uncannily like human beings that the silence and the stillness seemed unnatural and even ghastly. He missed the sound of breathing, the rustling of clothes, the 101 minute noises one hears when even the deepest silence has fallen upon a crowd. And the air was as stagnant as water at the bottom of a standing pond. It must be like this at the bottom of the sea, he thought. He faced the sinister figures boldly enough. They were only waxworks. So long as he let that thought dominate all others, he promised himself that all would be well. It did not, however, save him long from the discomfort occasioned by the waxen stare of Dr. Burdett, which he knew was directed upon him from behind. The eyes of the little Frenchman's effigy haunted and tormented him, and he itched with a desire to turn and look. At last, the compulsion was too great, and he slewed his chair round and looked behind him. The image of the dreadful little doctor seemed to stand out with a queer prominence. Houston flinched before the parody of mildness which some fiendishly skilled craftsman had managed to convey in wax, met the eyes for an agonized second, and turned again to face the other direction. He is only a waxwork like the rest of you. You are all only waxworks. They were only waxworks, yes, but waxworks don't move. Not that he had seen the least movement anywhere, but it struck him that in the moment or two while he had looked behind him, there had been the least subtle change in the grouping of the figures in front. Crippen, for instance, seemed to have turned a degree to the left. Or, thought Houston, perhaps the illusion was due to the fact that he had not returned his chair to its exact original position. He had neither seen nor heard a movement, but it was as if some sixth sense had made him aware of one. He looked straight into the vapid countenance of Lefroy, which smiled vacantly back as if to say, "It wasn't I." Of course it wasn't he, or any of them. It was his own nerves. Or was it? He swung round quickly to encounter the mild but baleful stare of Dr. Gourdet. Then, without warning, he jerked his head back to stare straight at Crippen. He nearly caught Crippen that time. You'd better be careful, Crippen, and all the rest of you. If I do see one of you move, I'll smash you to pieces. Do you hear? This would not do. This distinctly would not do. These figures grouped around him were only dummies made of wax and sawdust. They stood there for the entertainment of morbid sightseers and orange-sucking trippers. It was no good. He knew the effigy of Dr. Gourdet was staring at him. He could feel the two places where the gaze of those piercing eyes pressed into his back. He turned halfway and tried to steal a glance at the figure, but instead he felt himself whirled around to face those dreadful hypnotic eyes. "You moved! Yes, you did. You moved. I saw you. You moved." Then he sat quite still, staring straight before him like a man found frozen in the Arctic snows. Dr. Gourdet's movements were leisurely. He stepped off the pedestal with the mincing care of a lady alighting from a bus, and then quietly sat down on the edge facing Jason. "Bonsoir, monsieur. Something tells me that you are nervous. My dear sir, have no illusions. I am not one of these contemptible effigies miraculously come to life. I am Dr. Gourdet himself."
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
Little you know about the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll, just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummy, T-U-M-S. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
Tums are fast, effective, and safe. Tums relieve the discomfort of acid indigestion quickly, with no danger of acid rebound, sometimes caused by harsh alkalizers. Always carry Tums, 10 cents. 3-roll pack, a quarter. New Tums 6-roll pack with free metal carrier, 49 cents.
And now, starring Mr. Herbert Marshall, Act 3 of The Waxwork.
Houston sat immobile, staring at the mild little murderer. He could see, he could hear, but he could not move a muscle, and he could not tear his eyes away from Dr. Gourdet's hypnotic eyes. The doctor continued in his easy manner. "The circumstances have made it desirable that I should live in England. I was close to this building this evening when I saw a policeman regarding me a little too curiously. I guessed that he intended to follow and perhaps ask me embarrassing questions, so I mingled with the crowd and came in here. A coin bought my admission to the chamber in which we now meet, and an inspiration showed me a certain means of escape. I raised a cry of fire, and when all the fools had rushed to the stairs, I stripped my effigy of the cape which you behold me wearing, donned it, hid my effigy under the platform at the back, and took its place on the pedestal. The manager's description of me, which I had the embarrassment of being compelled to overhear, was biased, but not altogether inaccurate. Clearly, I am not dead, although it is as well that the world think I am. His account of my hobby, which I have indulged for years, although through necessity less frequently of late, was, in the main, true. For you see, the world is divided between collectors and non-collectors. With the non-collectors, we are not concerned. The collectors collect anything according to their individual tastes, from money to cigarette cards, from moths to matchboxes. I collect fruits. He paused again and regarded Houston's throat with interest mingled with disfavor. I am obliged to the chance which brought us together tonight, and perhaps it would seem ungrateful to complain. From motives of personal safety, my activities have been somewhat curtailed of late, and I'm glad of this opportunity of gratifying my somewhat unusual whim. But you have a skinny neck, sir, if you will overlook a personal remark. I should never have selected you from choice. I like men with thick necks, thick red necks. He fumbled in an inside pocket and took out something which he tested against the wet forefinger, and then proceeded to pass gently to and fro across the palm of his left hand. This is a little French razor. The blade, you will observe, is very narrow. They do not cut very deep, but deep enough. In just one little moment you shall see for yourself. I shall ask you the little civil question of all polite barbers. Does the razor suit you, sir? He rose up, a diminutive but menacing figure of evil, and approached Houston with the silent, furtive step of a hunting panther. You will have the goodness to raise your chin a little. Thank you. And a little more. Just a little more. Ah, thank you. Merci. Merci, monsieur. Merci, merci. Over one end of the chamber was a thick skylight of frosted glass, which by day let in a few sickly and filtered rays from the floor above. After sunrise, these began to mingle with the subdued light from the electric bulbs, and this mingled illumination added a certain ghastliness to a scene which needed no additional touch of horror. The waxwork figures stood apathetically in their places, waiting to be admired or execrated by the crowds who would presently wander fearfully among them. In their midst, Houston sat still, leaning far back in his swivel chair. His chin was up-tilted as if it were waiting to receive attention from a barber. And although there was not a scratch upon his throat, nor anywhere upon his body, he was cold and dead. Dr. Baudet on his pedestal watched the dead man unemotionally. He did not move, nor was he capable of motion. But then, after all, he was only a waxwork.
Suspense, in which Herbert Marshall starred in William N. Robeson's production of The Waxwork, written by A.M. Burridge and adapted for radio by Mel Donnelly. In a moment, a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Do you have trouble getting your husband to talk frankly about the intimate and important things in your married life? All too often, a husband's reluctance to talk about sex, money, or the children can destroy a happy marriage. Be sure to read one woman's real-life solution to this problem in the new March issue of McCall's magazine, now at your favorite newsstand. In all, you'll find more than 40 exciting features in this big new issue of McCall's. Read 15 practical, down-to-earth ideas on how you can earn an extra $1,000 this year by doing just a few hours' work each week.
Learn Debbie Reynolds' side of the strange divorce story that wrecked Hollywood's ideal marriage. And see many full-color photos previewing the newest styles and hairdos that women will be wearing this spring. Don't miss the fascinating March issue of McCall's with more than 40 exciting features for you and your family. Buy the new March McCall's at all newsstands now.
Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Myron McCormick in Madman of Manhattan. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on the CBS Radio Network.